What's going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 74. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Brian Majoma.
I'm back on time this time.
Yes, you are. And Brett Murdoch.
I was only slightly late today.
Yes. All right, people, we're here. We're just going to jump right into it. We got a lot of shit to cover. Final Stage Boss, no surprise, leading us off here with the release of another broken game, Street Fighter V. What game do you think had the worst launch in history? This is a fun one to begin with. Chris, let's go with you first, man. What game do you think had like a really fucked up, like, you know, the worst launch ever?
The worst launch to me, probably in recent memory, has to go to SimCity. SimCity was completely broken when it launched. The always-on DRM broke the game. And the game itself was designed in such a limited fashion that just pissed everyone off. Like, I don't even think the servers are on anymore. That game was just born to die. Like, that to me is like worse. I mean, you could point at other things. I mean, Blizzard has had some fucking fails, but yet gone on to have successes, right? WoW launched in a complete mess, and WoW's like one of the most successful MMOs of all time. Diablo 3 wasn't even working. None of the servers work. Was it the Era 37? Like, that was famous for a while, and then that came back strong. So, I mean, a game could recover, but SimCity didn't recover. It died because of the horrible launch, you know? So I think, to me, that's the worst.
Oh, what about fucking E.T.?
Wow.
that game almost killed the entire video game industry.
Well, I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I think the industry was just, like, on the verge. Like, that was the last thing to just collapse everything, you know? So that wasn't, like, the worst launch. That was just the end of the shitstorm that was Atari.
Yeah, what about the new Tony Hawk game that just came out? Holy shit.
Boy, you know what? Yeah, it's a terrible fucking game and it's broken, but honestly, did anyone care? Did anyone care about that? Like, yeah, people stopped caring. Like, skateboarding culture is, like, mostly gone. Like, there's people who skateboard, but skateboarding culture is back in the 90s. That's where Tony Hawk games need to stay, back there.
I think, you know, the thing is, I also feel like if they made an actual good game out of it, I think it would have rekindled that. But
remember Skate?
Skate, I mean, Ollie Ollie did pretty well. There are games that are still, you know, doing that sort of stuff and doing pretty decent, but I think the crappy Tony Hawk game didn't do anything for the genre.
It may have set it back.
Yeah.
Might have set it back, if anything, yeah.
What about you guys, Brett, Brian?
I'd say Dead Island. That game was so incredibly broken. I think they actually released a different build than the one that they were supposed to. So a broken kind of test build got released, and people could cheat. Your game would drop, and your frame rates would drop, and you know, wall clip. I mean, pretty much literally everything you can think about that makes a game super ridiculously buggy happened to that game, which was kind of funny because they went on to split from. I think they split from their studio. And they're the ones that made Dying Light. And Dying Light is amazing, but you can tell as soon as you play it, you're like, this is what Dead Island would have been if it hadn't sucked so hard.
Okay. And then, of course, there's Assassin's Creed Unity.
I mean, that one goes without saying.
I know it really should go without saying, but the thing is, I really believe that was the game that kind of set everybody on track. Like, okay, we better delay shit until, you know, because they don't want a repeat of that. I think that game put everybody on notice, so it's pretty important that, like, we were getting broken games, but I think that one, maybe like E.T., was the one that broke this camel's back. It's like, okay, guys, let's just.
That was on the back of Watchmen too, or Watch Dogs.
Yeah, and Battlefield and SimCity, a lot of shit, and that was the one. That was the game that made people go, okay, that's it, guys. Delay the fucking game until it's done. No more of this.
I think Assassin's Creed did it. I think Watch Dogs more made people go, don't lie to us at E3, don't lie to us in trailers, like, stop fucking lying about the game.
Watch Dogs,
half the modes were gone.
Yeah, Watch Dogs wasn't broken. It just wasn't a good game.
It wasn't finished. It was half baked. It's not that it was, it's not like it stayed in the oven as long as it was supposed to and burned a little bit. They just didn't finish cooking that motherfucker. And here's something interesting I want to point out. We are all talking about games that have been released in about the last five to 7 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
To our younger viewers, your listeners, games didn't used to come broken like that. Like, there were small exploits that you could do. But for the most part, games used to be a lot more shored up than they are.
Yeah, well, there's a reason for that, because we didn't have the internet, which means no patches, which means you better get that shit right the first time. You know, if a game was broken, that was a rare thing. That was extremely rare. And what would they do? They'd bring the fucking shit back and give you another cartridge that worked. You know, like that was very rare. But now, what do you have? You have internet culture where it's like, hey, just patch it later, whatever. You know, meeting deadlines. Remember, games weren't always like held to these deadlines. Games used to just release whenever. You know, there was no need for hype or any of that shit. So yeah, the reason we keep bringing up a lot of recent games is because this is more or less a recent phenomenon. You know,
and
broken ass games.
I want to expound upon that. When they told us there would be, they could patch over the internet, a bunch of people, I'm pretty sure Tony would be among those people, I know I certainly was, groaned him with, this is not going to be good. Everyone's like, oh, they could fix the game on the fly and then rebalance based on how players are playing in the real world, so it could be adaptive and actually, you know, be a truly balanced game. It's like, it's not what they're going to do. And even then, that reminded me of when Bethesda came out with the Horse Armor DLC. And they're like, no, we'll be able to add content to the game. And we'll be able to make, like, a sequel. So, like, instead of having to come out with a sequel every 5 years, we can just make a base game and then expand it for 2 years, or every year and a half to 2 years, until the new one comes out. And then that new one will be a significant improvement, a whole new game engine. You know, we'll just put the DLC in to make it, you know, live out its natural tendency with the engine software that we currently have. That way, when we come back to a sequel, it'll be this amazing thing that's brand new, built from the ground up. That sounds great, doesn't it? Like, I just want to point out, my tinfoil hat is fucking valid. Like, when I talk about it, when everyone's like, oh no, Brett, you know, constantly having the Xbox hooked up to the internet would probably have been really good for the industry. It would have forced developers to make growth. It's like, yeah, I'm sure. And if I go outside and give a hobo a bag of money, he's not going to get shit-faced hammered on it. That's exactly, like, yeah, there's a small chance that could happen. It's possible. It is, however, highly improbable. So I just want to point out when we talk about this kind of shit that, like, we're not as crazy as it sounds. People are lazy and selfish and stupid, and they will take advantage of a situation if you allow them to. Well, not all people.
It's also not only it's not really the developer's fault. It's also the actual studio saying to themselves,
the publishers,
do this shit right now, or whatever. You know, okay, you didn't get it done by the day. You know what's going to happen? You know, you're going to release it anyway. You're going to patch that shit later.
Yeah. I mean, you know, dude, think about it. Like Assassin's Creed. You think the developers of Assassin's Creed wanted that game out like that? No.
They fucking knew.
They knew.
I don't believe that at any point that these developers know that these problems don't exist when they release a game. They fucking know.
Of course they know, but the thing is, the actual developer would not release a game like that. But what happens? The publishers, like, get that shit out there. And who pays the checks at the end of the day? The publisher. So they have to listen. You know?
And the publisher reports to a parent company. That parent company is traded. The orders keep coming down. It's actually kind of silly. I've told people this before. Like, tattooing is very much kind of independent contracting. I'm sure Mandy does kind of the same thing, but to a certain extent, you're your boss.
Freelance artwork, and you know, it's all freelance artwork essentially, because you're paid, you're commissioned by somebody to do this artwork, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
So let me ask you,
sort of thing. The only difference is working for a corporation.
Yeah, well, how does it feel, quote unquote, not having a boss, Manny? Being able to, quote unquote, do whatever you want.
It's not like we don't have any bosses, because we do have bosses.
Yeah.
Exactly, and they change on like a rapid basis, and every time they change, they want to pay us as little as possible.
Exactly, and each one is different than the other. Like you know, the thing is, it's like you know, having a full-time job. The only difference is consistency. The same boss will like the same things over and over and over again, and continue to ask for the same things. When you're freelance, you have a bunch of different bosses that you're dealing with, and these guys don't exactly deal with these guys may not exactly be the same. So if I'm working for DC, working with DC is different than working with Marvel. Working with different editors at Marvel or DC is different than the last one.
Well, where I was going with this is it's a big kind of corporate cycle of life. You know, you have the fucking janitor who works for the HR, who works for, you know, corporate, who works for the major company, and then you have your CEO, so blah, 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 and it goes all the way up the line up until you have your CEO who gives the order down to the CFO, and it goes through all the company. I'm not super familiar with this, so I'm sure some of that is wrong, but regardless, everybody has a boss. And then when you get to the very top of the boss, or very top of the pile, your boss is every other asshole who doesn't work there who decided to invest in your company. And the biggest danger of this is it's kind of this dissemination of responsibility. When something breaks, it's nobody's fault because it's kind of a little bit everybody's fault. It's the same reason that a mob mentality can hang somebody up by a tree and fucking kill them. Because, oh, well, there were 45 other guys there. It wasn't just me, so I only have a little piece of that responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the fucking problem. Right there is that, you know, with all of these hands in the pie, when something goes wrong or when somebody starts taking away somebody else's vision, even if it's a bad idea, it's nobody gets blamed for it necessarily. So like I doubt that anybody really lost their job for putting Watch Dogs out half-baked. I doubt that when Assassin's Creed Unity came out broken, there wasn't a Mexican standoff of finger pointing saying, oh, it was this guy said we had to release it by then. All right, Jerry, why'd you say you have to release it by May? Well, because finances told me that we had to, you know, we couldn't develop much past May without cutting into our DLC. Well, who said we need DLC? Well, Richard from marketing said we're going to need DLC for, you know, synergy and expanding the brand. Well, and then you fucking go to market. Everybody points at somebody else, and at the end of the day, you're like, well, I guess don't do that or something. Let's make a better game here, people. Whatever. I got my fucking paycheck this week. Like, there's a lot of people who really do care. Unfortunately, that caring isn't really conducive to rising to the top, and you see all these weird problems emerging from it. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm constantly talking about, like, we can sit back all day long and talk about the problems of the game industry, or how games are derivative of each other, or how they're just rehashing old things because they think it's an easy win, or how, you know, people aren't going to want to watch or aren't going to want to make more R-rated movies, or they are because you know, they think the wrong things were successful in the Deadpool movie. Like, there's always going to be that. So that's why it comes down to us, the consumers, the bosses of these people in the public image. Like, there are shareholders that the company reports to, but the shareholders get their information from us, the public, from the general sphere of knowledge on this kind of thing. So if we're all really excited about a stupid game, people are going to fucking invest in it, and then the company's going to see a return on an investment and be like, oh, okay, this is a good thing. That's the whole reason why they do hype. Hype isn't just for marketing. It's kind of you know, fattening the goose, so to speak. So if we really, like, I guess I've gone so off on a tangent on this, but I guess this just leads back to pay attention to who you're giving your money to. Pay attention to you know, who you're praising and who you're criticizing.
All right, Brian, got any answers here? Mr. Brian.
Yep, I'm here. I'd say Battlefield 4. That game was like not functional for like 2-3 weeks after launch, and I literally meant just non-functional, like online. It just didn't work. It's like you'd play a game and be like, nope, you're not playing on this server, or just random crashes. Just, yeah. Which is quite funny, considering that I would praise EA for having some of the best DLC when you consider the Burnout, Big Surf Island DLC. That was one of the best DLCs out there, which is kind of weird. But yeah, that was back then. This is now. EA's DLC policy has just turned to shit. I just thought I'd add that on since you guys were discussing the whole DLC thing.
Yeah. All right. Moving on here. Next question. Do you think gamers will ever accept Microsoft's all DRM vision next generation?
Can I just ask Final Fantasy Boss this? Like, why is it that no one else is talking about Microsoft's DRM apart from you? Like, really, like, no one else is talking about it because no one else really cares because that shit is dead now. Like, why do you keep on bringing it up? Like, I just don't understand. Like, you know, our point is it's stupid, it should die, and it was stupid, and it has died. If it crops up again, we will kill it again. I think that's all that needs to be said.
I think Brian, it's because when people talk about DRM as a positive thing, they've kind of swallowed the pill of like, well, there's a whole lot of cheaters and pirates out there, and to those people, I would kind of lightly remind them that it's not really a problem you deal with on consoles, and if it did become a problem, then they would shut that shit down pretty quick. What they're actually not wanting you to do is be able to share games with your friends. and they put it under the veil of like, oh, piracy, but getting a video game and being like, hey, Tony, you should play this, and me handing a box to Tony and be like, I'll grab that from you in a couple weeks. That's not piracy. That's sharing. And they've twisted it all up in the sense of like, oh, well, you don't own that game. You own the vehicle, you own the disc that it's printed on, but you don't have the right to share it with your friend. Fuck you. Fuck you. That's never been the rules, and you're trying to change the rules on me. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
So
I think. Yeah. Go ahead.
I don't think that people are going to accept Microsoft's DRM vision, because their DRM vision is basically if you and your friend want to play, your friend better buy his own fucking copy. And there's no amount of polishing that turd that's going to make it palatable.
But here's the thing, that now since a lot of people are buying their games digital, it's kind of already become that without even having the DRM thing. You know?
Yep. But see, that's the thing. You've left the option open to people. Like, if I want to buy a game that I'm able to lend out, or if I think I'm not really sure about the game and maybe I want to be able to trade it in later, I have the option to go out to the store and buy a physical copy. But, like, for instance, Dark Souls 3, there's no way in hell I want to have to wait an extra hour before I start that game, number one. Number two, I'm never going to sell it. And number three, I want that game so quickly at hand that I don't want to have to get off the fucking couch. I'm just going to be like, oh God, I have to Dark Souls right now. And I can just pop it on and don't have to change it from Fallout, which Rachel is currently playing. And that's nice. So there's many reasons to go digital. But you're still giving me the option, right? You can always open avenues. It's when you close them down that people get shitty.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've said all we really need to say about this whole DRM thing. Again, it didn't work before, probably not going to work again. People aren't really going to take to it.
And then the other thing is that Microsoft has already tried this before with a lot of their PC games.
Yeah, they have.
Everybody forgot about that.
They're kind of doing it now with their Windows 10 games. You can't play them on Steam.
Yep.
You know?
EA already learned this lesson, you guys.
Yeah, well, you can't play EA games on Steam either, you know?
No, you couldn't. I think it was like Command & Conquer 4, the last one that they did. They completely changed the formula. They had mobile bases, and you had to sign up for this EA fucking thing to be able to play it. And guess
Origin.
what? Nobody fucking played it. Yeah, nobody played it because they're like, fuck you, Origin. I'm not, A, giving you my information, and B, it looks like you raped the game anyway, so go eat a dick.
Yeah, well,
and that
you
was
still
sad,
need to
because
go
that was
through
Command
Origin.
& Conquer.
Yeah, but you still need to go through Origin to play their shit, though, you know?
Oh, it's stupid. It's stupid.
But see, Brett, and this goes back to the shit we were talking about before the show started, man. Why the fuck do I need to subscribe to CBS when I should, for Supergirl, when I could watch that shit on Hulu? It should be on that, but no, we don't get that. Now I have to watch I'm going to go off on a tangent. I'll stop right now. But it's the same basic shit.
Yeah, no, but it's even different because on a PC, I have the internet. I can fix the problem if you allow me to.
Yeah, man. Anyway, so go ahead.
All I was going to say is, if the fix is opening it up to the internet so you can install or remove software or change it, that's fine. That works on a PC, which has open architecture, but you run into problems on consoles, which have a closed architecture in order to avoid cheaters and hackers and things like that. So it's fundamentally a little bit different. That was all I was going to say.
Okay, well, I wasn't really talking about console. I was talking about, like, the subscription programs. It's my basic beef. It's like, I can't play an EA game on fucking Steam, just like I can't watch Supergirl on Hulu, because it's a different subscription plan, But anyway, we said all we needed to say about DRM. It's done. It's over. No need to talk about it until it rears its ugly head again, if it does, All right, and the last question. Go ahead, Brian.
That, like, if you're fully against all forms of DRM, then just buy your stuff on GOG. GOG has 0 DRM. I mean, it's literally states that in their policies. Like, I can my copy of Witcher 3, I can actually send to Tony on a disc, and then he can just play it without needing to install anything.
Crazy.
So it's literally DRM free. It's really weird. And that platform is created by CD Projekt, the guys that brought us The Witcher 3. So, yeah, those guys are awesome. Deal with it.
Those guys are great.
All right, the last question here. What was your biggest wow moment in gaming?
That's ironic.
Are we talking about the game WoW?
yeah, because honestly, the first thing that came to mind was the game World of Warcraft, because up until that point, it was a top-down strategy game, of which I was a huge fan, and now I was like, wait a minute, I can be an undead and play through the same battlefields that I played in the RPG, but now be a single person and have 40 of my fucking friends on it together, so we're each a person in this big war, kind of like a water balloon fight. Like, that sounds awesome. Like, that wasn't a thing at that point. There wasn't just like, oh, 70 of you just go in here and do stuff. Like, that had never happened before.
All right, Chris.
Mine's a lot simpler. I mean, for me, and this is going way back, I think the biggest moment where I said wow was back in the first Metal Gear Solid, where Psycho Mantis told me what games I liked. And I was like completely shocked. I was like, how the fuck does he know? Like, how does he know what I've been playing? And that always sits with me. Like, I know I played a ton of other games. Like, I could say, like, oh, you know, when you first go out in Halo and you see the whole map or whatever. But that always sits with me, was when Psycho Mantis told me that I like Castlevania, and I was almost like, how the fuck did he know that? How does he know?
I'm gonna jump in because what you said leads into what I said. My biggest wow moment, and it had so many. I'm just gonna say one game, Metal Gear Solid. That was the culmination of everything I've wanted to see in a video game in perfect form. It's like I've always taken two games that are more cinematic, but you never really had that before that. You know what I'm saying? That game instilled it all perfectly. It's like game with like, wait, they have voice actors, but they're really good. Like, remember, we're going back to Resident Evil before that. That was the high standard, and even then we knew that was shit. So Metal Gear, and then to get specific, just the intro of the game where you walk out of the water and the fucking credits are still rolling while you're playing. I'm like, holy shit, you're playing a movie. This is the greatest thing ever. And then obviously that led to why I love Metal Gear Solid 3 so much. The same shit. That was the greatest movie I've ever played, man. So, but yeah, it all goes back to Metal Gear Solid 1. That was the biggest holy fucking shit moment I've ever had. Until this day, I'm still wanting another game to replicate that, and it hasn't happened. Metal Gear Solid 3 was the only other game that came close to doing that. Yeah. What's wrong, Brett?
I don't get Metal Gear.
Well, I don't get you not getting Metal Gear.
I don't think there's like an answer to that. Like, I played Metal Gear and I really liked it. There's a lens that I'm not looking at it through. Like, I'm like, I can't really decide what the tone of this game is. Like, it's got a high future like tech, but it's kind of like a rustic, rundown feel to it. Like, I understand, like, your espionage, third world country is it kind of a Ghost in the Shell kind of thing? Like, I don't understand how I'm supposed to look at the things that I'm playing, other than a weird mix of Japanese stuff that was pretty fun, but I didn't get the marveling that other people got.
Yeah, no, different games hit people different ways, man. To me, that was like a revelatory moment in gaming, and that was a PlayStation game. Remember, I was the Saturn guy, and that game blew me the fuck away. I'm like, holy shit, this is the game I've always wanted without knowing that's what I've always wanted,
And I was talking for years about it. I was like, yo, man, Metal Gear, Nintendo, it's such a great game. You need to play it, blah, blah. And you're like, whatever.
Yeah, but you didn't. Yeah, did you have to twist my arm with Metal Gear Solid though? No. I was like, holy shit. I was like, Manny, are you playing that while the credits are rolling? Get the fuck out of here. Everything about that game, man, was just, it's spectacular. All right, Manny, what about you? What's your biggest wow moment in gaming?
Wow moment in gaming. Sonic Adventure.
Interesting. Why is that?
Well, it was like the first, I hadn't played at Mario 64. Well, I played Mario 64, but it was the kind of the first of the Sonic games that were made for it. It was really, really nice looking at the time, and I was like, wow, this was really cool. I just really thought it was a very pretty game for its time.
Can I add that the Dreamcast itself was kind of a big wow moment in gaming?
Oh yeah.
Let's just be real about that.
I mean, I know you played Sonic Adventure again, and you're just like, oh god.
Yeah, it doesn't hold up, but yeah, when you first playing Sonic Adventure was pretty amazing. Like, remember that scene where you're running and the fucking orca is
the orca comes fly out of the thing, and then there's the other place where you're in that wind world, or even totally at the end where you're fighting the final Chow boss and you're friggin' supersonic, you're flying over the water.
Yeah, man.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah, that was great, man.
It was a very satisfying game at the time, and I was just like, that game was one of the ones that wowed me. I mean, I would have said Metal Gear, but I mean, obviously for the time, yes, definitely. Finally getting that one again. But I see Sonic Adventure because it was like, okay, this is the step up from the 32-bit era. This is 128-bit now, or something.
This is the real shit, exactly. That's when graphics stopped looking janky like they used to.
Yeah. You can still put you can put up a game like a Sonic Adventure even nowadays on anything, and it'll still hold up. It's not like Metal Gear. Metal Gear looks pretty messed up now.
Yeah, it really does. Brian, are you back yet? I know you said you be right back, so I don't know if you're back yet to answer this. Maybe he's not back. Maybe he went to the toilet or the I don't know what they call it over there in England.
The laboratory?
He went to the loo.
The loo. He went to the loo.
So what do they mean by biggest WoW moments?
I think you answered that moment where we're like, oh my god, this is crazy. It blew your mind away, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I've had moments where I was just like, whoa, is that what's going on? And then I've had moments too where I've had wow moments and I've had fuck yeah moments, and I'm just making sure that we're talking about the wow moments.
No, I don't think we're talking about fuck yeah moments. That's a whole other topic right there. Right. You know? Yeah, I don't think Brian's back.
Fuck yeah is when you finally beat that boss that you've been trying to kick it, trying to fight. That's that moment.
Yeah, I don't know. The narrative of Mass Effect got me.
Yeah, man, Mass Effect, dude. So many moments.
Especially Mass Effect 2, man.
Yes, Mass Effect 2 was like the greatest TV season I've ever played. You know? Oh man. All right, I don't think Brian's back, so we're gonna skip him this one. Next, Mr. Him Deals asking us some questions. Uncharted 4 release date is moved again. Did any of you believe the last release date was legit? I personally don't care, but can understand if someone else is disappointed by the news. I'm not too surprised, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not. For me, it's the same thing. I don't feel angry about it, but maybe some people do.
Yeah, if you're gonna be angry, that's fine. You know, I said my biggest beef was the reason why. I think that reason is bull fucking shit. You know, it's like, oh, we need to manufacture more discs. We have digital, guys. That's not a fucking excuse. Sorry. But I don't care about delay. It gives me more time to play other games, which is always a good thing. So I didn't mind at all. Was anybody here actually surprised by the delay?
I was.
You were? Or why is that?
Not that there was a delay, but that the delay came so close to the release of the game. Not that the delay came so close after the previous delay, which was that was the other thing. Is like it got delayed again, and then like we had made it within like a month and a half of release date. I'm like, okay, we've made it to the home stretch, we're cool now. And then they delay it again, and I was just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Like what? I guess it was like it's not even that I'm mad. I'm disappointed. Like I thought better of you. I thought I didn't think you were going to put us through this. What's going on, Naughty Dog?
Yeah, I don't know. So, like I said, something's up over there.
Yeah, it doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence for the game. I'll be honest with you. Like I would definitely not pre-order at this point.
Oh wow.
I'm not a huge pre-ordering fan anyway, but I mean, like I would not go out the day of release and pick it up from your local retailer because something about this game just doesn't sound. It's been stuck in limbo for longer than I like, man.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's another case like with Assassin's Creed. It's like, let's wait until we get it all right. Who knows? But I don't know. It could be that, but
historically, does that happen more than the other thing, though?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But like I said, the reason is just really dumb. It's like you guys got to come up with something better than that.
But yeah, the fact that
here's the thing. Does it make you as angry if they said some other thing?
It doesn't. Like I said, it doesn't make you angry. I just think it's stupid.
Here's the way I read into this. We all know this is so that they can patch a bunch of stuff into the game, right? But they don't want to tell us that. They want to tell us it's because they don't have enough physical copies. They want to lay it on the blame on the feet of somebody in the processing or manufacturing and shipping lanes. It's not the developer's fault, and it's not the publisher's fault. It's these other scrappy trucker guys over here. It's their fucking fault. They just can't get it to Tampa Bay in time. But the biggest thing that says to me is, okay, so by the time the game was set to be released, you knew you had all of this stuff left to do, or scenario B, you didn't know you had all of this stuff left to do. And both of those sound like kind of terrifying situations. You mildly terrifying in context. But so my two choices to believe are either A, they knew all the work that needed to go into this, and they were just slapping that shit on at the last minute, trying to cram in as much as possible, which means they probably missed some stuff. Or B, I don't even know, man. I'm starting to get like angry now.
All right, we'll leave it be then. Next question. I know it's okay. This is the original question he asked. I know it's early, but any E3 predictions you all care to share with Rockstar coming to the big show? So let's since again too early to talk about E3, but let's twist it around. Because Rockstar is actually going to be at E3. Rockstar usually doesn't go to E3. Rockstar doesn't need E3. They're too big for E3. They're going to be there this year. What do we expect? You know what my answer is going to be. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same shit. Most of you guys are going to say, motherfucking Red Dead Redemption 2. Give me that shit.
Please, yes.
Yeah,
oh, God, please, yes.
That's almost certain.
Dude, if you show that shit, granted, it's not going to be as big as last year, but it'll be a good long way to getting close to that, Man, you show that shit at E3, it's done. That's a good E3 right there. Red Dead Redemption 2, full 10-minute fucking gameplay video. Forget about it, man.
Oh, I hope they have Red Dead Online. Please let them have Red Dead Online.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll bring it back.
I'll just say, as a former Rockstar guy, I almost guarantee it.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
I will say, here's my other thing. Probably not gonna happen. What about the fucking agent? Where's that game? Are they gonna say anything?
It's called Hitman.
Wasn't that a PlayStation 2, a PlayStation 3 game? Sorry.
Yeah, it was.
Like a PlayStation 3, like almost launch game,
It's joining Siphon Filter somewhere in the great arcade in the sky.
Yeah, but what else could it be? It has to be Red Dead Redemption.
Well, Siphon Filter actually had actual releases. This game was just announced and nothing.
It was just a logo, dude.
It was a logo.
Either that or Rockstar will troll everybody. It's like, you think it's Red Dead, but we're actually making a dodgeball game.
Yeah, could you imagine that shit?
We're making a sequel. Or the biggest troll ever would be like, we're making a sequel to the table tennis game.
Yeah, right.
No, I'd like to hear him say
excuse me.
Like, no, we're making a Red Dead game, and they come out, show you the game box. It's got a giant red dodgeball, and it's called Red Dead Dodge, and takes place in an elementary school gym.
You know what I would love?
Technically a Red Dead game, I suppose.
Yeah, I would love if they do a sequel to Bully, right? But tackle a lot of the social justice bullshit that's happening now. Especially in schools and stuff. That would be interesting.
I don't think that would fly.
No, they won't do it. But if anybody could pull it off, it would be fucking Rockstar, because they give no fucks. But even it would be interesting. By the way, have you guys heard about this Common Core math shit? What the fuck? I'm not gonna get in on a tangent, but damn, like math is confusing enough already without this nonsense. But yeah, Bully. Did anyone care about Bully? No one's talked about Bully for years.
Yeah, that's one of Rachel's favorite games.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure she'd be. I've never played the game, man. I wanted to, but I always missed it. I don't think it was on PlayStation 2 or something.
Yeah, it was.
Or was shit?
Yeah,
I missed that shit. I missed that shit then.
I missed it also. I never played it.
Yeah.
Or maybe
I'm sure if you wait long enough, it'll show up on the new PlayStation 4 bullshit.
I may have it on.
No, actually, it's on PSN. If you play PS2 Classic.
On PS3 though.
On PS3, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this is a very interesting question. I'm pretty involved too, so I'm gonna read this nice and slow. It recently occurred to me that there may not be many contributors to the coalition that are married and have kids. As a married person with kids, I often reflect on comments from individuals on a variety of forums about buying multiple systems to be a quote-unquote real gamer, or people that strongly encourage folks to purchase a PC for a better gaming experience. But my sense is these folks aren't married happily otherwise, and certainly don't have kids to even understand that the lives of gamers like myself are just different. For those of you that could see these life adjustments, spouse or kids in your future, what do you or could you see that changing your gaming habits, purchasing patterns? How do you guys think things would be the same? Very good question. Very
definitely.
Good question. I like this question a lot. Very different than the stuff we usually get. Just for the record, nobody on the coalition has kids, but some of us are married. That's about as far as it goes. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like, a lot of guys, you go, oh yeah, man, like if you want the real gaming experience, you need to buy all the consoles, you get a PC. But it's like, do you really want all these consoles? If you have kids, you probably just want a console, period, the family console, right? And PC is probably not going to be it. You're not going to get your 6-year-old to play a PC game. You want to put a controller in their hand, keep it nice and simple for them. So I really like it. I really love this question. Let's see. Manny, why don't you go first? What do you think about that? How would this change anything?
Oh yeah, it definitely would. I mean, you probably don't want, I mean, I think I've noticed a lot of people that have killed children always have, the big boy console, the parents' console, which would be a PlayStation or Xbox, and then they have their little Wii or Wii, the Wii console for the kids. That's what I've seen. That's what at least my cousins have had for their kids and stuff like that. So I can definitely see a big change. See a change because you wind up having to buy an additional console for your children.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, what do you think about that? Like the whole fact that like a lot of the guys who say this stuff probably don't have kids.
Yeah, definitely. They obviously they have this. You have if you have a decent job and you're single, you have a lot of disposable income. You can definitely do it. Even those of us who have wives or girlfriends that live with us, there is still a factor in there. Most of your money has to go to things that are generally for your place. I mean, some of us are lucky because our girlfriends are actually our girlfriends or wives are actually gamers too. So it's not that much of a difference, but still, you still have to make those concessions.
Yeah, and then also even though the significant others may be gamers and stuff, you still got to make time specifically for them.
Oh yeah, definitely. You're not, they're probably not going to spend all day like gaming, and neither are you. You got to go out, and you got to go places. You got to go see, we didn't go see the what was that, 50 Shades of Grey. But
done date movies.
But our date movies. See, one thing about me and my girlfriend is we like a lot of the same things. So our date movies are like going to see like Deadpool or going to see Boy and the Beast, which we saw over the weekend, and also on Saturday. So it's not too bad.
All right, Chris, what's your take on all this?
Or Lego Movie.
Okay.
I think that kids change the argument of that. I think Manny hit it with the significant other, if it's your girlfriend or your wife or whatever. Yeah, you do change up your behavior somewhat. I may change your buying decisions in terms of consoles and how much time you spend with your gaming and stuff. Kids completely changes the equation in terms of what you have and what you can spend on gaming. What's your gaming budget now? And then does that budget go towards like, well, I have toddlers and they can play this, or have teenagers and they want to play this or whatever. So you have to budget for that, and people have limited budgets. So yes, there's definitely a separation of people who have kids or people who are single, and people who are making these comments might be single or whatever, and they say like, oh, to be a real gamer you need all these consoles. Well, they live in a separate world where they can do that. Not everyone can do that. Certainly that is understood. If you have children and stuff, you're not going to blow a ton of your salary on just gaming consoles, right, and neglect your kids. Obviously, you can't do that, and you're going to have to make hard decisions and budget what games you're going to get. Like, your son or daughter wants Skylanders, right? So does that mean you're not getting Black Ops 3 now because of that? Maybe. So yeah, it definitely changes your whole decision making, and I don't think anybody can judge you because you have children. It's like, oh, well, you're not a real gamer. We talked about that before. That argument is complete nonsense.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I would flip it around. It's like, oh, I'm not a real gamer. I'm getting fucking laid, bitch. I got kids. Where's your proof?
That's just perpetuating a stereotype that all gamers are virgin losers.
Yeah, well, if they're going to say that shit, I'm going to throw some asshole shit at them. Anyway, Brett, what's your take on all this?
A little bit more complex. Like, it sounds like the main meat of the question, or the answer to the meat of the question would be like, yes, if you are going to have a hobby and kids, you will not be able to have as much time to devote towards the hobby. I feel like that's pretty basic knowledge, and that a lot of the people that you're going to talk to who have time to really delve into a hobby probably have more free time than you, and that's what it all boils down to, essentially. There are certain exemptions, though. Like, I know a lot of PC people who have kids, and if they have the extra money to be able to, upgrade or build their PC, then they absolutely will. Doesn't mean they let their kids play on it. They may have a console for their kids or something like that, but I think the spirit of it is they try and accommodate as much to their lifestyle of choice while still taking care of their family and making sure that they're happy. So, like, if I'm a heavy PC gamer who loves I don't know, Arkham games. No, what are the
except the last Arkham game?
No, what are the arena games that everybody's playing? I always forget the name of those.
Unreal and stuff.
No, not the Unreal ones. The top down, the MOBAs.
Dota?
Oh, MOBA,
Dota.
yeah, Dota, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Let's say I'm a PC fanatic who loves playing Dota, right? And I have a family. I will probably still buy my kids the things that they need, buy them a console, and then if I have a little extra money that maybe I've been squirreling away $5-10 here into a coffee can in the garage, then I'm going to take that money and upgrade my PC. Or maybe my family buys me a gift certificate to a local PC place, or maybe I get a component as a gift from the family or something like that. Then I can still, when they all go to bed, I can still accommodate my lifestyle choice. So it doesn't really change how you approach something. It just changes how much time you have to approach something. And so it only really changes things that are super time dependent. Like a good example is any of the super grindy Japanese games or any MMO ever. Like when you're younger and have a lot of free time, like you could be a badass, but when you have other priorities and you can invest less time, it has nothing to do with skill. That person has played more than you, then it becomes kind of an issue, and you're going to have to probably change your habits. But I think the spirit in general is to change as little of your habits as possible while still making sure that your family is your number one priority. So it's when people say things like, oh, you're not a real gamer unless you have all the consoles, I don't necessarily think that the root of that is that they're not married or have kids. I think that the root of that is that they have more time and or money, and they really know what to do with, and that may not even be a lot of time and money. They just may not deal with it very well, but they then want to go on and judge people who have less time and money than them. So and kids affect your time and money. So it's you're kind of comparing symptoms, but the underlying thing is that if somebody feels like they've spent more money or do something more than you, then they're a greater advocate or greater expert on said matter. So when you get people, telling you should buy a PC, that is completely irrelevant of them having kids. That they could have kids, they could not have kids. Some of the biggest PC nerds I know definitely have kids because that is their world away from the kids. But if somebody's giving you shit about being level 4 or something like that, yeah, chances are that they don't have a wife or kids or possibly even anybody significant in their lives, because as awesome as video games are, they are not the most important things in someone's life, even to a lot of hardcore gamers. So I wish I could give you a more clear-cut answer than that, but it's really dependent on what they say, and what they say will tell you a lot about them. So it's like, oh man, you need to get a PC because you could play in 4K, 60 frames a second, blah blah blah. And you really sit back and you think about okay, what kind of person would I have to be to say that kind of thing? How would I have to view the world in order to believe the things that just came out of that man's mouth? And you'll inevitably come back to oh, you have a lot of money. To you, it's not I'm going to save up for 4 months and get this thing. To you, it's just do I want it? And then you can tell that person either has come from money, is dating somebody with money, doesn't have kids and so has a surplus of money. Maybe they're in the army and so they've got a swollen bank account. There's all kinds of reasons, but I don't think it just comes down to do they have kids or not. I mean, you could say the same thing about tattoos as well. Well, yeah, people come in and get a lot of tattoos, they probably don't have kids because otherwise that money would be going to notebooks and shoes. You don't fucking know that. You don't know what these people have. You don't know what they're driving. You don't know how much money they have. And to think that just because somebody gets tattoos, they can't have a kid, or they would be mistreating their kid by not putting that money towards the kid, I think is ludicrous, because there's a lot of things you do sacrificially as a parent, but I don't think everything should be in that. You deserve to still be a human being. You deserve to still pursue your interests. Probably only a couple of them, because you only have that much time and money, but there you have it.
All right, Brian, what do you say about all this?
First
Brian,
of
are you
all,
back? There you are.
yeah. First of all, what's the question again?
Oh man, it's a long question, Brian.
Okay. What's the meat of the question?
Basically, when
Yeah.
people talk shit on video game forums, Himdeal basically comes to the conclusion that a lot of them must not have families, wives, children, that kind of thing, and that's a very kind of aggressive, single thing to say.
Yeah, basically
And
he's saying the dudes are like, hey, if you need to own every console to be a real gamer, you need to have a PC to be a real gamer. He's saying that people who say that don't have children, don't have like a significant other. That's what he's trying to get at.
And then
exactly.
And then the second part of the question is,
how would you adjust your life?
Kids, how would you have to adjust your life and your habits?
Okay.
Great question, isn't it, Brian? Really good question, man.
It's a really good question. I haven't seen one of these in like quite a long time.
Fucked up.
Let's see.
Wait, you mean a serious life question as opposed to a trolley question about a bunch of consoles? About 2 consoles? Boring.
Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions.
That he does make a good point, but at the same time, like, we don't know the situations of other people. Like, the best example that I can give is Torrance Davis. Like, again, as far as I know, like, he's married, or he was married at some point, I'm guessing. He has kids. Well, he has one
He
kid,
has
I
a
think.
son. Yeah, he has a son who's like 16 or so.
Yeah, he has a son, and he games, and he also has a girlfriend, and does like the Warzone, has like a beefy PC and all that stuff. So, and even he says, hey, you guys should get all if you can, but if you can't, then try and get the best for your money type thing. So, I don't know, to say that all the people that are like that have no commitments. I don't know. It's a bit of a narrow-minded view, I'd say, because again, like, you can't just judge based on their comments. To be fair, like, what if like them and their other partner also enjoy like gaming on PCs or having on consoles, or like what if them and their partner and their kids also, just like the whole family, enjoys it? Again, like, that's very far-fetched, because like most families aren't tight like that. But
my buddy Colby, he's been on the show. I think you all know him. Like, he and his daughter, like, they love playing video games together and watching anime. They dress up and go to Comic-Cons and shit together. Like, it's awesome. Like, apparently, if you're really involved in the life, like, there's a chance that your kid could turn out super cool.
Yeah, but then, like, I'd say that he's like that they are the exception rather than the rule. To be fair, like, given how most of society is in terms of gaming, I don't know. Like, he may be right, but at the same time, like, I do not have no enough information to say, yeah, it makes sense, or no, that doesn't make sense. So it's literally, I don't know. Again, it's an interesting proposition, and I'd like to know more if people have information.
Don't you think if there was like a super trolly bastard on the internet that got married, he trolled 6 to 8 hours a day, right? Gets married and has kids. I don't think he's going to stop trolling. I just think he's only going to troll 2 hours a day now.
We do know someone like that.
Yeah, Torrance.
No. Someone else. Someone who was banned from our forum.
Oh yes, apparently this guy had wife and kids, and all he did was just troll all day, every day. That other person may not have gotten enough zinc in his diet. Thank you for that question. Very, very good question.
Sorry. The last part. I don't think mine would change that much, to be fair, because I'm a man of my morals and I like doing what I do. So it'd have to be someone very special to make me just change everything. Like, again, and this game, like, quite personal. Like, over the last couple of years, I haven't changed much, but yet girls have come and gone. So yeah, they may try to break me, but I don't think that they will.
Yes. See, Brian, this is why I respect you, man. My whole deal is like, hey, I like my life stress free. No women and children for me. Fuck that. I don't want to change shit. So none of that noise for me, man.
What? You're not gonna get Betty Page lookalike as your wife or girlfriend?
Nah, I'm good, man. Because women are all crazy, man. They'll pull some shit on you.
They'll be the right one.
Nah.
Tony,
Anyway,
there are plenty of fine ladies out there.
nah.
Or dudes, if you're into that.
Or dudes, right? Not me though. None of that homo shit for me.
Oh, body pillows? Or
There's that Kojima one. So yeah.
You know what?
Oh,
Yeah,
his birthday is next year. Damn it.
That's what I'll get, Brian. I'll get myself a Kojima pillow, and I'll be good. All right, let's move on here. Mr. Fern Gully giving us questions we're more accustomed to. All right, will the Xbox One fanboys who criticize Metal Gear games as being a movie give Quantum Break a pass, or will they stay consistent and criticize the shit out of it? Come on, man, you know the answer to this one. You know these dudes are going to be like, oh my god, Quantum Break is amazing. I'm talking about those hardcore Xbox. I'm pretty sure the regular fans that said that before are going to be consistent, but the crazy people, they're going to flip the script, obviously, No, but it's better than Metal Gear because X, Y, and Z,
Well, it depends, how long are the cutscenes? Like, I remember that Metal Gear Solid 4 had some stupidly long cutscenes. I remember that the final cutscenes, I pressed skip 4 times to get to the end. 4 times to skip the final cutscene, and I finally got to the end of that cutscene. That is ridiculous. I remember that at some point I said to a friend, just hold on, I'm watching this cutscene, I'll get to the barbecue in like 10 minutes, when it's done. I was there for 4 or 5 minutes just watching a cutscene. I was like, nah, this is stupid.
Here's the thing. What about, you think about games, people complain and moan about cutscenes. Like, literally, you play a game like Heavy Rain, or you play a game like, what is it? What was the other one? Beyond Two Souls. Come on.
Yeah.
You want to talk about cutscenes.
My first reaction to this question would be, what's wrong with movie games? Like, movie-like games.
Exactly.
And then my second question would be like, well, the answer to that would be like, well, the Xbox fanboys are, we're all stirred up and angry about it. And then my second question would be like, who gives a fuck what they think? Do you enjoy it? Do you like movie games? If the answer is yes, then look forward to this game. If the answer is no, then all right, well, I don't like Madden. You can't please all the people all the time. So I would advise stop following a game that you don't like. I don't pay attention to whatever the fuck the bronies are doing. It has absolutely no regard on me. I don't care.
Unless it affects you. Unless it comes into your life somehow. Right?
Yeah.
No, unless it adversely affects me. Like if I see somebody in a full pony get up in the airport, okay, cool, good on you, I guess. That takes some big skill.
But then when that pony guy starts attacking you, then that becomes your problem.
Oh yeah, no. When the pony guy gets all up in my face and says I heard you call me pony guy. I'm not pony guy. I'm fucking Sparkle Ta. Look at the tattoo on my horse ass. And you need to educate yourself and be like, you can find these books here, here, and here, and then maybe, just maybe, you won't be such an insensitive motherfucker, blah 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 blah, cis scum. That's when I off the handle. Okay. Absolutely. I'm not a sir or a ma'am. I'm a pony. Okay. Well, that's not what definitions and language mean, but we could say you're something else. We could say your spirit guide is a pony. We could say that you represent a pony. You could say that your totem is a pony. Anything. You could say your soul is a pony, but you're still a man or a woman. It's not your gender. It's pony.
Brett, please don't say that because somebody may pour a bucket of piss on you for saying that there are only 2 genders. Please be careful.
I don't. It's a scientific term. Come up with a different word for it. It's not that big a deal.
We're not gonna get off on that tangent, but oh man.
Wait, pony is a gender now?
No.
Well, I'll tell you after the show. Yeah, Manny, there's more than 2 genders. Just keep that in mind. If you don't, you may get urine poured on you.
No. More than 2 sounds reasonable. More than 3, maybe 4, is fucking ridiculous. After the 4th one, you're like, all right, well, there's no real way to scientifically to test anybody for any of this.
I'm
Like,
plant. That's what I'm plant. Right?
Yeah, like my gender. I literally saw somebody claim that their gender was unknowable but strong.
No,
And
it
my
isn't.
first
What are you even talking about?
that's what somebody said their gender was.
I'm cutting this off right now because we're gonna get into a lot of trouble, especially me because I got some shit to say. I'm gonna stop right now. Anyway,
Alright,
Quantum
wait,
Break. Well, flip it around.
Quantum Break.
Yeah,
How
let
do
me.
you get
Quantum
Yeah,
Break,
wait.
'cause we're back to what we talked about.
Okay, Xbox fans. Yes, the Xbox fanboys will absolutely give Quantum Break a pass. They won't care it's a home game. They just care it's an Xbox exclusive. Well, sort of. To them. So that's all they care about. Like, yeah, they'll honestly, Metal Gear Solid 5 was the least cinematic of the Metal Gear games, the Metal Gear Solid games, I think. I don't know what they're
Yeah.
complaining about there. So
I think it was maybe 4. That
yeah,
was
but they
one of the
didn't.
big
That
ones.
was a PlayStation exclusive, so I didn't get
Mhm.
that. Maybe they're just complaining in general, but yeah, no, Quantum Break they'll give a pass to immediately.
Of course, man. You know how this is how fanboys work. It's that whole Apple mentality, right? If they do it, it sucks. If we do it, it's cool. Same basic shit. You know?
Can you
Right?
say
You know,
that Brett has like some weird superpower where he can like derail anything?
Yes.
Like it's unbelievable. Like I actually genuinely forgot what the question was at some point. I was like, yeah, I'm actually going to go for this now. It's like, hold on, how do we get
Yeah.
from Quantum Break to this? Like this is literally
Brett,
insane.
Brett, your mutant ability, your new mutant name is Derail.
Yes.
yes.
It's like, how did we end up here? Like, why are we talking about genders out of a Quantum Break? What the fuck is
Actually, he has 2 forms. It's Derail and Soapbox.
Yeah. Oh man! All right. Anything else to add to Quantum Break before we go to the next one? Because I think we know what fanboys are gonna. You know what fanboys are gonna.
Oh yeah,
fuck with.
definitely.
The same
I
shit.
would. Okay,
Yeah,
I
go
would
ahead.
have to just like put like an asterisk at the end to say it depends on how the cutscenes are. Because like one of my biggest problems with Metal Gear Solid 4 cutscenes is that there was just so much exposition. Like I love me some exposition, but that was like over my limit of exposition, and I couldn't stand them towards a point. I think it was like the third time through, I was like, you know what, I'm done with these cutscenes. Like I'm just not going to listen to them because I just can't stand it anymore. And I think that was my biggest problem. I don't know about other people because I can't speak on their behalf, but it depends on like how they do their exposition and whether or not they do it well or do it badly. Because if they do it badly, then it's kind of shitty. But if they do it well and they paced well, they're done well, good voice acting, good acting in general, like, and this may shock people, like Naughty Dog do some really good cutscenes. Like they are some of the best cutscenes in this industry standard. And here that people I'm praising a Naughty Dog game.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, but seriously, like they have some excellent cutscenes. Like people should like learn from what they are doing. So as long as it's more not like Naughty Dog and less Metal Gear Solid 5 or sorry 4,
Well,
then that's a good thing.
keep in mind this is different than both of them. Most of these cutscenes are going to be a TV series, basically. Live action TV cutscenes.
No,
And,
I
you
thought
know?
that you guys were talking about the in-game cutscenes, not the
Oh, no,
TV show add-on shit.
we're talking about all of them.
But then
You know?
the TV show add-on thing is just like a TV show add-on. It's not really.
But they said
cutscenes.
it's like you play a chapter, you see the episode corresponding to it, vice versa.
I don't think that they can force you to watch like a half an hour TV show after like a chapter.
Who knows, Brian? Who knows? We don't know what's going on with this game because Microsoft's sketchy as always.
It's better.
It's
Okay.
part of the game. Like nobody's understanding this.
Yeah,
It's a different way of telling a story. The same way Heavy Rain was a different way of telling the story. To be like, I don't want to watch all these cutscenes, basically says, I don't want to play this game. Like, I'm sorry. That's like going to Fallout and being like, I want to play this game, but I don't want to have to deal with any menus. I'm sorry. That's like half the fucking game. That you can't take it out.
Yeah, I honestly believe the episodes are part of the game itself.
But then that seems way too stupid. Like
Well,
that really does
it could
seem
be- it
like
could be
way
stupid. It
too
could be.
stupid.
It could be stupid. We don't know. We don't know because Microsoft isn't detailing the shit.
I
You know?
mean, it's like the whole like Jurassic World thing. It's like, hey, like I'll breed a raptor with a T-Rex. Like no one's sort of said, hey, that's way too stupid of a thing to do. Like these things are like top-notch human-killing things. Let's not do that.
that's because you're a gamer, and I guarantee you this game was greenlit by somebody who's not really a hardcore gamer. Like somebody who's like, oh, it would be like a novel/movie that you can interact with. It's marrying TV with a choose-your-own-adventure novel, and then seeing how the consequences play. I'd be like, yeah, that sounds great if you're not looking for a game, and it sounds like an interesting experience that some people might be prone to playing. I might give it a try, maybe. Like fuck it, I like binge watching shit on Netflix, and I like video games, so okay, maybe. Do I think this is going to be the new high watermark of how people take in media? No, fuck no. They've tried to do this kind of shit before. They tried to do this shit as far back as Sega CD, and it was dumb now. Or it was dumb then, it's dumb now. But somebody thinks it's a good fucking idea. I can't imagine it comes from somebody somebody's who play video games much. Because nobody who plays video games wants to be like, oh, great, now I'm going to sit here for half an hour and eat my fucking Cheetos and Mountain Dew.
I see it as the next eventual evolution of what Quantic, of what those guys were making. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's like, an evolution. Like if you look at the way even Alan Wake kind of acts, it kind of does a lot of similar things. Like there's episodes in that game too, like episodes of this TV show that are in the game. So it's kind of like the next step for them, almost.
Yeah,
I see what I can see.
It's an evolution, and that's the reason I'm excited for it. It's an evolution of TV. It's an evolution of cinema. It's not necessarily an evolution of gaming. Like if you look at it from the gaming point of view, it might even in some circles be considered taking a step back. But in terms of movie and TV show storytelling, like how awesome would that be if you could go watch Daredevil and make small choices throughout the game, and that would affect the ending of Daredevil. Tony would have watched that shit like beginning to end 6 times through by now.
No, that would be fucking terrible if they do that. I don't want a video game affecting with the TV. Like, let it be its own thing. Let them be separate. I don't like that idea. That's fucking horrible. That's what I like about TVs and movies. They're static. They're non-changing. That's the whole point.
See, I can see a time, and this is probably when VR comes in, where okay, I'm gonna sidetrack for just a second to explain a concept. You guys know the idea of like how there are different ideas of what destiny would be, right? Like people who believe in fate believe that some people believe that, like,
you're talking about the game.
No. So some people that believe in fate like think that like, oh, you're fated to pick up and eat this English muffin and then take 12 steps outside and then walk through the yard kind of thing. And then there's another school of thought that's basically like you're destined to hit these certain check marks. You can go wherever you want, but sometime in the middle of your life you're going to meet an old gypsy woman and she's going to give you a cinnamon roll. And like nothing in between now and then is written, and not necessarily anything after that is written, but it is written that in your midlife you shall meet a woman who gives you a cinnamon roll. Like that's how it works. So I think that games and movies especially, like, and I always like to go to Inglourious Bastards with this kind of thing. Like, what if there were just certain key point scenes that pulled the movie along its general narrative, but then it gave you full freedom to explore between those certain points, which sounds an awful lot like what they're doing here, but just a very hackneyed job. Like, and you have to understand, like, they're trying to make something new. They're hammering out the dings, but I kind of like the idea of being able to slightly augment this kind of stuff. Like you'll always have those same points in the story. If this is fucking Star Wars, like Luke will always get his hand cut off. How you arrive at that point of him getting his hand cut off, there are infinite choices. And you can kind of follow different characters around. You can explore the environment. You can, look at the broken, fuselage hose kind of thing and be like, oh shit, this is going to come into play later. So the third or fourth time you're watching it, you're like, oh, I'm going to totally see it from this point of view. Like that could be a legitimate way to consume media, and I think it could be really fun. But like I said, the big problem is you can't think of it as a video game because it's not.
It's something else entirely.
Yeah. I feel like they're almost pitching it to the wrong audience. They're in a conundrum where they're like, okay, the people who would really like this aren't the people that own the consoles, but the consoles are what we have to put it on to play. So, kind of, trying for the middle of a Venn diagram here, and it's generally not financially successful. I don't see this time being any different.
Yeah. All right. Anything else to add to this before we move on? No?
I don't know. Go ahead.
All right, let's move on then. All right, this week Microsoft has had to go back and do a lot of clarifying of their message, Phil Spencer included. Is this the Xbox One all over again? And what are the before we get to the second part of this, because there's two questions in one. Yes, it is. It's the whole thing of like you're not clarifying what you mean for people, and you have to explain shit 50 different ways before people finally get it. When you could have just said what you needed to say the first place, you know. So yeah, it's totally. I don't know what the hell's going on with Microsoft this generation, where they can't seem to like clarify their message in a nice and clear cut fashion. It's always something, you know. So yeah, it's definitely going back to that, but it's not as extreme as TV. It's not on that level, you know, where they have to flip flop. It's more of like you just need to explain your shit better, guys. You know,
What is
because
their message though?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it's get out of second place and make as much money as possible to please our bosses and our shareholders. And after all those people come you. Like, I don't think that their message is shitty. Like, it's not a question of how they phrase it. It's a question of not saying it. Because they're not... Like, again, Microsoft has kind of shown a lot of times to be fairly hostile towards its consumer base. And so if this is an attitude that runs up the corporate ladder kind of thing, that it's not that they're... It falls more into, like, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. They're keeping their damn mouth shut.
Well, the thing is, they're saying stuff, but the stuff they're saying is confusing.
Yeah,
You know, like
it's like political jargon. It's saying a bunch of words without saying anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like with the whole upgradable Xbox. What is it? Are you going to crack open your Xbox? Or are you going to buy a new Xbox? They haven't clarified this shit. You know? No one really knows.
Oh, so yeah. So essentially, they still haven't taken the time to clarify anything.
No,
right?
they haven't. They no. The thing is, Phil Spencer has made several comments afterwards, and no one knows what this man is talking about. You know, so yeah, it's definitely Microsoft. You know, it's funny because Phil Spencer is now in charge of the Xbox division, yet they're still running into the same problems as before, the miscommunication shit. You know.
I think the miscommunication shit also runs into the fact that there's certain things that they can and can't say without giving away their plans.
Yeah, that's also true. You know?
Do you guys think that's the case, or do you think they're trying to like slowly lower us into the boiling water? Because I get the feeling like if the answer were, oh no, it's a brand new $300 console or $400 console that you're going to have to buy even if you already own an Xbox. If I were the person who knew that, and I would be talking to the company, they'd be like, so do you open it up to upgrade it, or how do you add the upgrade? I'd be like, not saying anything. Like, it could be just that the answer is, and that would sell more systems. It would make them a lot of money. And, like, if you lay it out on the table, like, oh, well, if we do it this way, we really have you guys over a barrel, and that way we can squeeze more money out of you. You can't get away with saying that kind of thing without some animosity. Like, it's better public relations not to say something if you're doing something quasi-shitty. And honestly, I feel like if this were good news for everybody, they wouldn't be trying to hesitate and hold it back. They're not Nintendo.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything to say about this before we get to the next part of the question?
No, I think it's been said. I think they clear up your messaging, guys. Like, don't pull in the Nintendo. Remember the Wii U's beginning? Like, you can't make those type of mistakes. Those missteps cost you, especially when you're trying to do what Brett said and get out of second place. You can't be confusing people. It's like, I have to buy a new Xbox every year. Maybe I'll move over here now.
No. You do, but you don't, but you do.
Right. And the second part of the question is, what are the chances of us seeing a Nintendo-Sony console race? The reason he asked this is because he's like, will Microsoft fuck up to the point where they have to bow out of the console race and it's only going to be Sony and Nintendo? To that, I say no. If you're going to have if any of the big three going to drop out, it's going to be Nintendo. Microsoft, despite the miscommunications, despite the fact that they're in second place, are in a pretty good fucking position. Right? And they're actually forward. You know, even though they're kind of fumbling their message, they're still trying to look forward to the future. They're still trying to innovate in their way. Microsoft ain't going anywhere when it comes to gaming. They're good. Nintendo is the only one you need to be worrying about here. That whole thing is where they have Scrooge McDuck type of money. No, don't believe that shit. That ain't happening. Nintendo's going to be the only one that's going to bow out if it's going to be anybody. Go ahead.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, I could understand where he was going from because it's also been shown in the past that Microsoft is not that interested in in consoles anymore.
It's a side thing for them.
It is a side thing for them, and for them to drop out if the Xbox isn't, because you remember they were losing a shitload of money on their previous Xboxes, because of the
red ring, yeah.
Because of the red ring, so it'd be relatively easy for them to drop out.
Yeah, but they're not going to.
They're not
That's
going
like,
to.
I mean, they've invested billions into video games, and they've already unified the architecture and stuff. It's they made too many investments to just drop out of it. It's just like them trying to drop out of the phone market right now. They spent what, 8 billion on Nokia.
Well, dude,
They should absolutely. If you look at who, does anyone care about Windows Phone?
No.
no.
No, but they ain't dropping that, man. They're gonna keep trying to make it work, but
It's kind of like the Zune.
right, but they're way more successful on the Xbox front than that front, you know. So I doubt they'll drop out of it. And like Nintendo is the one almost ready to like freaking snap in half and sink into the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep in mind, Microsoft has an incredible amount of corporate synergy. That's the whole reason they got in the console market to begin with. You know, if you're a baker and you make bread, right? Like, oh, you can make cupcakes too with just a couple of extra ingredients, not having to build a cupcake stand from the ground up, right? Like, the reason Microsoft got into the console market was because they were already basically helping to create games on a Microsoft platform. PC gaming was pretty big. And because of that, that put them in a very good place. Like, even if Microsoft had never made a console right now and we were looking at a one-generation playing field or one-console playing field, everybody would be saying Microsoft needs to make a console because pretty much they already do.
Yeah.
If they dropped out today, the second most popular gaming console would be a Microsoft product because PC would just take its place. And so they're so already sort of they're already making PC components. Or already helping design PC components. They're already building a system architecture. They're working on DirectX, which is one of the fundamental pieces of software in any video game or any computer game. They're waist deep in the mire, man. They're not going anywhere, and it would take generation after console generation for them failing for that to change. They don't have a hole to dig themselves up out of. Even if they hit rock bottom, they're still on a giant plateau rock. Nintendo, on the other hand, has dug themselves into a serious hole where they could make progress and end up just even. And that just even would still be less than if Microsoft had broken even and gotten out. Because even if they stop making a console, they have everything they need to make a console pretty much already laying there. Like, it would be silly for them not to, because with all the other stuff they do, they're not having a high overhead, which is why they can invest in smartphones, electronics, and things like that, because they have that kind of money, and all of these systems kind of work together. If you learn new technology for a smartphone, you can bring that back into your PC architecture to help miniaturize things for laptops. Or if you build a new engine on a PC, you can try and streamline the code and build yourself a new platform for your handheld device. Like, these all work in concert. So I really wouldn't worry about Microsoft going belly under, because they have their tendrils in far too many things that are similar with video games, that it's not that big a deal for them. Like, and maybe that's what you're seeing. Maybe Microsoft is the Xbox is a side project for them. But if that's the truth, then they are killing it with very little effort.
Yeah, that's very true. It's a good point.
So I'd be more worried about Nintendo going belly up.
Yeah, for sure, for damn sure.
Yeah.
I expect to see that within the next 10 years, actually. Quote me on that. All right, next question. Now, this one we got from both Ferngully and Phantom Vash. I'm going to kind of mush them up together. Because Ferngully asked, do you think Halo 6 will go to PC? And Phantom Vash asked, is it safe to assume that pretty much all Microsoft-published first-party games will be on Windows 10 going forward? And he actually goes to list some of them. ReCore, Quantum Break, Forza, what else here? Gears of War 4, all this shit. So, short answer, yes. Obviously, you can tell what Microsoft is doing. They're trying to push everything to Windows 10, to the Windows platform, right? That includes Xbox. So, yes, this isn't even a matter of if, it's when. Halo will be on PC, and I know some of you guys are going to be salty as shit when that happens, but prepare for it. It's going to happen.
Oh, come on. They should be really happy. Okay, the one place where the cloud could actually fucking work is if they found a way to integrate the Xbox with your home PC architecture setup. That way you could actually find a way to port the processing power or bridge the processes together and then port the processing power to your Xbox. It could be the receiving unit of this huge fucking server PC in the middle of your home. You could actually harvest processing power from the cloud, from your own little cloud, without having to send it through our nation's shitty infrastructure. If you want to actually talk about being able to augment and help supplement the processing power of a console, the PCs in your house are going to be the best option for that. So even if you have a crappy laptop, it doesn't add little, or it doesn't add much. It adds a little bit, and then all they do is they go through the same way that they have different PCs can change settings. Like you have preset settings where your Xbox turns on, it finds out how much power you have. Based out of which card set, which of these 5 card sets or whatever came pre-installed or you later installed, and then it would run the corresponding graphics. And then what you could do is you could hook it up to your PC, it would judge how much extra processing power it could get from your PC, and augment said number with that information. So if you're generally playing a bare Xbox as a 5, right? But then you bought the Xbox Premium Edition, which comes out to a 7, and then you got 4 gigs coming from your PC that puts you up to a 9. The game looks at it and goes, okay, your graphics quality is 9. Puts in a certain formula, your VSync and your filtering and all that stuff. They shore up to the level of a +9 PC architecture, and boom, you could be playing on your Xbox like fucking 4K graphics, even though Xbox out of the box can't do that. That would be the only way that they could adequately harvest the cloud. And
yeah,
so, like,
Brett, you're missing the point here. If you have Halo on PC, it's going to cut the chances of the Xbox One beating the PS4 in a console war.
It doesn't matter.
No, but that's my point. That's why these guys are mad that these games are coming to Windows, because they want ammunition for their stupid little console war, and this is why they're salty. And this
it's
is why
the same company.
But they don't see that. This goes back to fanboyism, dude. It goes back to, and I'm telling you right now, that same shit you saw when Quantum Break was announced for PC, it's going to be 10 times, no, 100 times crazier when Halo gets announced for PC.
Yeah.
Watch, these dudes are going to lose their fucking mind.
When they announced
yeah, go ahead.
When they announced a simultaneous release of Halo 6 on PC and Xbox, it'll make the Quantum Breakdown look like just a baby crying. It will be a massive.
How do you not?
They don't see that, though. Everything you said is perfectly logical. They don't see that. They don't want it. They only wanted to loud the cloud over PlayStation owners, right? They didn't understand how it works.
What it is.
But if you say that in a logical sense, like, well, with PC you could leverage this and that, they don't want to hear it, because that means their beloved game isn't only coming to the console.
Yeah, and you telling them that isn't telling them what they want to hear. This is how we beat Sony. That's what they want, dude. You have to understand. I know it's illogical, and it is illogical. It's fucking stupid. But this is the mentality of these Xbots, dude. They don't give a fuck about that. Like Chris just said, a perfect thing. The cloud. These motherfuckers don't understand the cloud, but they use it anyway as ammo. We have the cloud. What do you have? You don't know what the fucking cloud is, you idiots.
We have the cloud. I load my saves there. Rachel we had a good weekend last weekend, and I had just enough money to buy Rachel a fucking PlayStation, because she's been wanting some, so we could sit down as husband and wife and play some goddamn video games together. And you know what the first thing she fucking did was? Uploaded her saves from the old Fallout game into the cloud, and then miraculously pulled them out of the cloud onto her new PlayStation. What is that? Oh, it's called the fucking cloud.
But again, these idiots don't see this. Like, yeah, Sony's had the cloud for years, bruh. But no, that's one of their ammunition points, man. I'm telling you. And Chris, I'm telling you right now, dude, when the day comes when Halo 6 is announced for PC, please be by your computer all day. We will be having a ball.
Yeah.
These dudes are going to lose their fucking minds, because there's nothing greater than seeing a fanboy lose their shit.
I don't understand why they can't just accept, like, why can't you just say, I'm a Microsoft fan?
Exactly.
Like, you boot up your PC.
They're not Microsoft fans. They are Xbox fans.
And that's a weird distinction to make. Like, that's like, I love Pillsbury fucking peanut butter cookies, but they don't have chocolate chips in them. And therefore I'm mad. Like, well, you can buy both, and they go to the same company, right? Like,
you know what this is like, right? It's like, yo, man, that dude Brett, he's awesome. Nah, man, I'm all about Brett's left arm, man. That's what I'm all about. It's like, it belongs to the same beam. No, man, it's all about that left arm. How is the left arm gonna kick Tony's ass? You see how stupid it is, right?
Yeah, well, no, No, exactly. And the funny thing is, Sony does the exact same thing. They leverage their production of hardware. That's why they can make shit like the Vita. They make PC components. They make TVs. So if they want to get a cheap price on physical components and want to put out advanced physical components, they've generally historically been pretty good at it. That was the whole cell architecture of the last one. Like, super complicated, but it was still their own thing, right? So, like, they do leverage the other parts of their company. It's not just PlayStation. It's Sony PlayStation. And PlayStation is backed up by Sony. They are one and the same. So if you buy a Sony TV, you're still supporting Sony. If I buy a Vita, I'm still supporting Sony. Even then, like Vita, you're saying I should be mad that Vita is selling games because it might take away from one of the PlayStation games. Like, who the fuck cares? Sony's still making money. Like, that's really all that matters. And the sad thing is, if you looked at it, like, all PC players, everybody who has a Steam account has a Microsoft product, do you know how much you'd be winning by? Like, it's stupid that you're refusing to handle this. It's like somebody says you won, and then you slap the trophy out of your hands and go, no, I want to beat them at second place too. Like, what? Yeah. and the sheer audacity, and then the kind of victimhood, like, oh man, everybody wants to pick on Xbox, everyone wants to pick on Microsoft. No, all the games are going to come to Microsoft. Microsoft wins because it's a PC. Microsoft is the only entertainment choice in open architecture. If you want to mod a game, guess what? You have to go to Microsoft. Like, they've got that shit on fucking lockdown. And the ironic thing is, they don't even have to do it. They got Gabe to do it for them. That's kind of fucking magic. Like,
not with the Windows Store stuff.
Oh god, yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, and now it's fighting itself. Like Microsoft it's all these components that just need to be more cohesive and stop fighting themselves. And, like, the fact that the fanboys can't pull that shit together doesn't help anything at all. Like, if you'd realize that Xbox is part of the Microsoft architecture, it's part of the Microsoft ecosystem, where you have all of these things that hook up together. Your tablet, your PC, they both hook up to your Xbox. Like, that was the whole thing. Like, you're just refusing to understand this, and it boggles my mind.
Yeah, these guys are crazy. It's like, hey guys, if somebody buys Quantum Break on fucking Windows, that money still goes to Microsoft. That's a good thing. That's what you want. All right, moving on here. Last question by Mr. Ferngully. Good question too. When will Sony ever update the DualShock 4? I would love to see a DualShock 4 Elite or something. Yes, when? Make it happen, Sony. Like, I want that. We need that. My fucking thumbsticks are all fucked up on all my DualShock 4s. Give me a new one. Give me an Elite, baby.
The thing is, the only way you can do it currently, like, to switch out your thumbsticks, is to actually go to like a modding place that place that handles that sort of stuff, and they can give you put in some new thumbsticks, or you opening up your controller and putting them in yourself.
All right, I need to give a quick shout out to my boy Carlos from whatchamacallit. Oh my God, I'm forgetting the name of the site, but he was Malik's site, previous site. I was talking to him the other day, right, on PSN, Max Level. He's from Max Level, so I was talking to him. This is what he did. He actually ordered thumbsticks for Xbox One, right? Open up his DualShock 4 and put those in there. He says you got to be careful when doing that shit, but that's what he did. But I'm getting to that. I'm getting to a point where I may do that myself because the rubbers run out really fast on that shit, man.
Is it just the rubber topping?
Yes, the rubber topping on the DualShock 4.
God, Tony, I told you to get thumb covers for that thing months ago.
And I fucked it all up, man. I fucked it all up.
You can still put thumb covers on them. It's not like they're going to make them lumpy and weird. Just
send me a link, dude.
I don't have one. I actually picked mine up at GameStop for like $3.50.
Link, like a link so I could check them out. Because the thing is, I saw some on Amazon, but they like kind of add something like an extra layer or something. I was like, I don't want that. If I could add like half an inch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you want that.
No, I don't want that. I want one that just covers up the regular thing. Understand?
If you think about the basics of leverage, if you get an extra quarter inch on the end of your sticks, it'll give you about 20% more precision in your games. And you'd think that it would make your hands feel uncomfortable, but it doesn't. You barely recognize it. And it's also got this little ridge on the side, so that when you're kind of grabbing the stick by the bottom side, it's kind of ridged so that you can flick off of it easier. I love my thumbstick covers in every way. They take a little bit of getting used to, but they are just fucking awesome.
Yeah, but getting back to the heart of it, yeah, please, like, okay, Xbox has an elite. Why doesn't PlayStation? They need an elite for sure. I would buy that shit for sure. You know, what about you guys? What do you say?
Like a PlayStation Elite, yeah. If I could adjust it. I mean, I definitely wanted to pick. When I first saw the Elite for the Xbox One controller, I was like, recently bought an Xbox One controller for my PC, and I was like, damn it, why the hell didn't I wait?
Yeah, dude. I played it. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even adjust it because it was just one at E3 and stuff. Man, if I could adjust it, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, well, I think they had like a D-pad that you could pull out, and then you could change the thumbsticks around. It's great stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. I don't think any of us here are like, no, they shouldn't have that. Yes, have it.
Make it.
Yeah.
Sony, we're throwing the money at you. Just take it.
Do it. All right. Next up, Mr. Phantom Vash. What are your thoughts on publishers abandoning E3 this year? So far, EA, Activision, Disney have all abandoned E3. Great question. Somebody joked, they actually was Joel Tavares from DualShockers. He posted a picture like, hey, this is what the E3 convention look like this year. It's just an empty hall. It's like, okay, so the thing, and remember, if you've been to E3, right, EA and Activision have like two of the biggest booths there.
Not to mention Disney's booth. That booth is insane.
And they were all situated next to each other too, So it's like, what the hell is gonna, take up all this space now, But yeah, I don't know. Go ahead,
Konami.
They could put in their booth.
At least we'll have Silent Hill at E3 or Silent Hill at E3. the big machine.
I'm gonna just address the elephant in the room here. I hate to say this because it's cool going to E3. E3 is kind of not needed anymore, man. You really don't need E3s anymore. You could have the same shit told throughout the year at different little events. Let's just be honest about it.
I feel like you don't need a press E3 anymore.
No, fan E3, that would be pretty cool. Like just for those guys.
It would just be a hype generating thing. Twitter would go crazy. It's like the Emmys. Like you kind of need to know this is happening once a year, so everybody who's interested can kind of plan around it. So I honestly think no, you don't need a journalist E3 anymore, especially when everybody's fucking quoting Twitter quotes. But I still think you need a set time and place where there ought to be a video game type festival, and that would still be the place that companies are going to want to show off new things in order to hook onto that hype train and go a little further.
Yeah, because think about it like this: even though those companies are not at E3 proper, they're still doing shit at E3, doing fan things at E3 or around E3. Understand? So that's where it's going now. Again, like as a journalist, it kind of makes my life a little bit harder because they're not in all one place, but for gaming overall, I have to be objective about it. Yeah, it would be better if it's just make it for the fans.
Wait a second, they're going to be outside?
Yeah, it's
yes.
like
EA
is literally across the street.
Okay, that is an entirely different thing. What they're saying then is we don't want to be limited to just the people you're letting in. We want to have exposure to everybody because customer exposure is proving to be more important than journalistic exposure. Yeah. And so by going outside of there, even the people who can't get into E3 can still see them. It makes their viewing audience wider. This isn't them bailing out. This is them doubling down.
Yeah, that's the thing people need to understand. It's not like they're abandoning E3. No, they're still doing shit at E3. They're just doing fan events during E3 in LA. It's the same shit. It's just they're expanding it.
It's like all the Nintendo stuff. If you remember, all the Nintendo stuff were free to go to. You didn't need to go to E3. You could just go to the Nintendo stuff or whatever else they had going on around in the city.
Yeah, and let's just be honest. What's going on with gaming now is a lot of the people that kind of start mattering now are YouTube guys, right? Basically regular people. That's who they're trying to cater to. And if you try to get into E3 as a YouTube guy, you're probably not going to get in because YouTube has, E3 has the most archaic fucking way of getting into the damn thing. They make it so difficult for people for no reason.
Well, the whole reason why they started making it hard, right?
Yeah, because it was a
because guys working at GameStop are literally getting in. I work in the game industry.
Or guys who had a website for 2 months got in, Johnny's little shitty website, know. But so that's what they're trying to do now. They're just like, hey, you know what? Let's bring it to the people, Because, it's what Brett said. You need an event, and that's what these guys are doing. They're taking control of that event, by giving it to the fans now. You know,
they need to take it to Vegas because that Vegas is going to have the biggest convention platform in the,
oh
in the
yeah,
country,
I
and then
I
make
can
it
see that
open to
happening.
everybody.
I can see
Just
that
5 days
happening.
of video game festivities in fucking paradise. I guarantee you that would get way more exposure online these days than the way that they've been doing things.
Yeah, and even from a journalistic standpoint, because remember, I was thinking about it the way it was last year, where I had to kind of wade through the crowds and stuff. No, even if, as journalists, if you get your appointments, you can still get all your shit done and let the people have what they're gonna have. So it kind of works for everybody. You have this big event hyped up, and think about it like this during E3, right? Who's tweeting all this shit, right? Journalists, right? Now you're gonna have potentially hundreds of thousands of people, regular people tweeting all this shit out. It's going to generate even more hype for the industry. That's a good thing, for sure. So I think that's what's going on right now. Next year, we're probably going to have even more of that. But then again, if everybody's just doing their own separate thing during E3, what does it actually mean for the actual convention center? What's going to be left for them? I think it's basically E3 is just going to spread out to its own individual little things, and the actual convention center, it may be irrelevant. You know what I'm saying?
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can do that, but that really doesn't help the people putting on E3, and it makes everything kind of a muddy mess. That's why I said you're going to have to include everybody, make it not so it's reporters anymore, because you need everybody's voice. And then in order to do that, as you said, you couldn't fit. There's already so many people, and that's the problem with San Diego Comic-Con. It's huge, but there's so many people there that it doesn't matter how huge it is. Everybody's hip to hip and shoulder to shoulder. So the response is you can do one of two things. You can either let less people in, or you can find a place that allows more people to comfortably be. And right now, when you're talking about that kind of size, Vegas is generally known as the only kind of venue that can hold 300,000 plus people. So if you want to do that, that's fine. But I wouldn't even say it'd be do the insider thing inside and then all the extra stuff outside, because then all that's going to happen is that people are going to show the journalists a little thing and then go outside to hype up the crowd for twice as long. The journalists are going to end up picking up the scraps, and I don't want to see that happen. I would rather see a nice intermingling of as somebody at a game developer's booth. Okay, I want to get a lot of everyday people excited about this, but I also want to hook myself a few journalists who can help kind of spread the message beyond that. So therefore, we kind of hit the entire spectrum. And if you view them as, I don't want to say equals, but if you view them as every journalist is worth 10 regular people, and they're all just kind of mixed in together, then I think you'd see the most cohabitation that way. When you split things off, people start, that's like Disney World, Epcot's all the way fucking over there. There's only two things I want to do over there. I'm not going to go. If you have everything, you don't want to ruin the carnival atmosphere, I guess, is really where I'm going with it. Don't divide people up. Bring everybody in. And there's no reason at this day and age to have an only journalists E3. I really can't see one. I know all the journalists are going to say that they want one, and I would absolutely love to go to an E3 with the journalist passport or with a journalist badge when everybody else didn't have one, because that'd be awesome. But if we're talking about the whole point of this is this kind of festive hype generating exercise, then you want to invite as many people as possible. And if you know nerds the way we all know nerds, is the last thing you want to do is be exclusionary to a group of nerds. They don't like that.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else have any thoughts on this?
I think it's been said.
Yeah.
All right. Next, this is a good one. What fighting game series has the best music? Because we do know fighting games have great music. Have had great music in the past. So, where do we go? Obviously the first thing that sprang to my mind was Street Fighter, especially the original Street Fighter game, Street Fighter 2 games, great stuff. But SNK has some really good shit too. Samurai Showdown and stuff, great stuff.
I'd have to say Guilty Gear.
Guilty
Gear.
That's the
Guilty Gear is some of the best music.
That's the obvious one. Yeah, that's the obvious one right there. Great fucking stuff. Yeah, I enjoyed a lot of stuff like X-Men versus Street Fighter, Street Fighter Alpha, all that stuff. Great, They kind of lost me with Street Fighter 3 and Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
2, yeah.
The menu.
Stuff they put into it.
Terrible fucking music. Virtual. Yeah. Go ahead.
I think the newer Mortal Kombat did a pretty good job, at least in the sense of setting the tone.
Mortal Kombat had great music too, man. Yes. I remember that was man, this music is awesome. What else? Because most of my knowledge obviously just got Capcom games and stuff. Virtual Fighter had good music too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first two ones, great fucking music.
Virtua Fighter 2, I would say, has a really
Virtua
good
Fighter 2 for
soundtrack.
sure. Yeah.
You know what? Soul Calibur had like this instrumental
Yes.
music,
Oh, yeah,
but
that really
Yes.
epic with sounding stuff.
yeah,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
very different from everything else.
Yeah, for sure, man. Great fucking music. I'm gonna listen to that right now, even during the show. Any others?
Transcending history and the world.
Yeah, it just had this
Soul
great orchestra
Calibur.
music.
Oh man, I'm gonna
I
listen to
A
that.
don't
tale
remember
told
Dead or...
of soul and sword.
What kind of music did Dead or Alive have? I don't even remember.
It's
Kind
just
of
it's
Techno-y,
just
generic.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was about to say the
that's
music.
I didn't remember. Like I was like, Dead or Alive has music, right?
yeah. Dead or Alive has music as memorable as the game itself. Oh man, all right. Any others? Think Primal Rage.
Nah, not Primal Rage. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I'll throw in my
Go ahead.
hat for Tekken Tag Tournament, the first one. I really enjoyed the soundtrack of that.
Tekken 3 had a really good soundtrack. Yeah.
Killer Instinct now has a good soundtrack. I can't speak to the old one, but now the new game has good music.
I liked the authenticity of Bushido Blade.
Yes.
Ooh.
You mean did you like the Japan the J-pop song for the intro? We all need to shine on.
That was so weird because it was so opposite from the rest of the tone of the game.
That's hilarious. All right. Next question here. Okay, what are your thoughts on the rumor that Nintendo is helping to fund Beyond Good and Evil 2 for the NX, similarly to what they did with Bayonetta 2? Way to kill the franchise, Nintendo, if that's the case.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Nintendo.
Whoa,
You know, look,
what do you mean by to kill the franchise?
look what happened to Bayonetta 2.
Listen,
Whoa.
it won't even help. The thing is, for Beyond Good and Evil, it doesn't matter because the studio doesn't even exist anymore. So they killed themselves already.
Yeah, but we're not going to
I
get
don't
Beyond
see
Good and Evil.
Sony or Microsoft doing that.
Yeah, but yeah, if they did, they would have saved the damn franchise, you know?
Yeah,
The game
but
was a
the
Sony game to
thing
begin with.
is, I still don't see them like putting their hat in to say, "Hey, let's like the fans want this game, let's do this game." Like, what was it? Like, remember at the PlayStation experience that Adam Boyle made like a big thing, say, "Hey, look, all these fans send us these messages saying that we should do these games. But, hey, let's invest in them." Like,
Yeah.
people have been talking about Beyond Good and Evil 2 for how long? And what? Sony was just stood there doing fuck all. Microsoft was stood there doing fuck all. And if Nintendo wants to help save it out or like make something off it, then I commend them for that.
Yeah, but the
Like,
problem is
they-
no one's
they
going to buy
actually
this
tried.
game, dude. But no one's
Well-
going to buy the game, dude. Look what happened to Bayonetta 2. That was a complete fucking failure, you know? So it doesn't matter if they tried. They failed, you know?
It just
Yeah,
means
but
Nintendo's trying to
trying is
appropriate.
better than not trying at all. Like Sony
Yeah,
and
but
Microsoft
there's
have just
there's
done
certain
fuck all.
degrees, man. There's certain degrees, you know?
Sony and Microsoft have like sat there and like are openly just watching the ship like sink. You know, like I am sorry, but that's much worse than Nintendo trying. Like
Right,
Nintendo
right.
trying, then hey, you know what, Nintendo, you're trying. I give you props for that. Like
Yeah, you're trying, but you're still dooming the fucking game. So it's not really doing much in the end, you know?
Trying's all well and good until
but
you
at least it's something. Like something is always better than nothing.
But
No,
there's a point. No, Brett, go ahead, because I'm pretty sure you're going to say exactly what I wanted to say. Go ahead.
Okay, like yeah, something is not always better than nothing. And in case in point, when you're sharing 3 lives in a 2-player game of Contra, like oh, I thought I could make that jump. Just don't fucking try and make that jump. Let me shoot the guy first. Like, and there is a certain problem that when like, and I've said this before with like World War Z. Like, I don't care that they made a movie about Brad Pitt trying to save his family. I'm mad that they used up their chance to make a World War Z movie and instead made that, and I'm half tempted to go make a movie this is shot in a documentary style, cataloging the survival stories of post-apocalyptic survivors, and then just call it Brad Pitt Saves His Family, just to even the scales. But, like, I think that's what a lot of people are pissed off about is like, okay, so you're going to dredge this out, this thing that everybody's been wanting, and you're essentially going to hold it hostage, and you know, until we buy your fucking console. Like, it's
and
shitty.
And they've done it already.
No, but then like you guys are acting as if Nintendo stole this from everyone else
They
and
didn't.
put it out there.
I'm not saying they stole it. It's just
No, but you guys are acting like they stole it. You're acting like they have all
I
the
don't see how you
rights to
say
it.
that.
I'm acting like my chances for a good Beyond Good and Evil 2 is have just actually gone down. Like when Nintendo picked it up, you know that they're...
Yeah, because no one is going to buy a fucking NX for this. You know, people would rather play it on a system.
Here's the thing, though. I don't see anything. I agree with Brian. I don't see anything wrong with this because it's trying to give you a reason as a player to try to go and buy an NX or whatever.
But it's going to fail, and you know it's going to fail. So you're dooming this game to failure.
Basically. But the thing is, again, that's what the thing is that most companies do this sort of shit.
Yeah, but they don't do it.
Not be beyond good and evil, but
yeah, but they'll do the same thing they did with like Fatal Frame. They'll lock it down. They'll make it some digital-only release. Nintendo does these shitty things to hold on to franchises, and it's not good for anyone. They're gonna do something. Look what they did to Xenoblade. They're like, oh, well, I'll release 1,000 copies, but they're only sold at GameStop, right? So you can't actually get your hands on it. It's ridiculous. The things they do with this, we're not looking at this as, I wouldn't look at this as Bayonetta 2. I would look at this more like Xenoblade Chronicles or Fatal Frame. Like, they release it in the worst way possible. They half-ass it. It doesn't come out the right way. It collapses, and then they go, well, I guess no one wanted this game, and that's the end of the franchise. We'll never see it again.
Yeah, that's the crime here, basically, you know?
Well, that's what we're afraid of, and that's supported by, like, Nintendo does not have a history of treating, third-party developers very well. Like, this feels like it's grabbing at straws, and I'm not sure that they're entirely committed. Even then, like, I heard a lot of rumblings about Nintendo being a pain in the dick with Bayonetta 2.
Yeah, no surprise there, you know.
But then, like, the other side of the coin is, so then why not get the Sonys and Microsoft involved in this then? Since that you guys believe that they can make a better product than Nintendo can.
It's not that they make a better product. They would make a product that would get to more people.
No, I think they would make a better product. And
yeah. Why not get them involved? Like, aren't these guys that... hold on. Isn't Sony the company that's meant to be for the players? Like,
yeah,
we've been asking for this game for how long, and they sat on it and did fuck all. Instead, they'd rather sit there and fund
did the fans ask them directly?
They can, since...
Did they? That's what I'm asking.
No, that's that. Okay, hold on.
Well, then they should. I'm sorry, but they should. Like, if Adam Boyle can stand there on a stage and say, hey, look, we listen to our fans, then the fans should say, hey, since that Beyond Good and Evil 2, there's like a hint of it coming to an NX and only an edX, I should write to Adam Boyle and say, hey, do something about this. Like, we also would want to get in on this deal. Like, we also love this franchise.
But we just got to the point where we're starting to see crowdfunding and public opinion changing games. It's the reason we're getting Shenmue. It's the reason we're getting Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Beyond Good and Evil never got funded, though.
It never got funded, no, but now it has the chance. Like, it came too soon, but now it actually had the chance, the way that the landscape was evolving, that it could be picked up or it could be crowdfunded. The reason I'm upset about this...
Like, they can still write into them and say, hey, look, we want this. Like, the only reason that Dark Souls was even on PC is because the whole PC community just cried about it. And then Bandai Namco released a broken game on PC, but they still did something.
Doesn't Ubisoft own the rights to this game?
Yeah, they do.
I don't know.
I thought they published the first one, so
yeah,
I just
they
assumed
did. So I'm assuming they own the rights to it. But
right.
Brian,
So
you know what, Brian? That's a good point because this is still a rumor, right? So I urge all you PlayStation fans, I urge all you Xbox fans, if you want it on your system, let fucking Ubisoft know this shit. Then, you know,
do something like write to Adam Boyle, write to Shuhei Yoshida, write to Mark Cerny and his bad shirts, if you will. Just write to people and say, hey, look. Or write to Phil Spencer. Like, these guys are maybe the people that listen to you, quote unquote. Let's see how much they actually do listen to you.
I'm not even upset. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Brian has a really good point. I really don't want to see this game in Nintendo's hands.
You know what, Brian? That's a great thing. Let's start that right now. We don't want to see this in Nintendo. Start petitioning, Ubisoft to get this game on other systems.
I don't even know if I want to see this game. And I know that pretty much takes me out of the conversation because I'm sure as hell not going to write a letter to somebody saying that I don't want you to make a video game because I'm not that kind of guy. But I don't understand it. It's a game it should have been made a long time ago, and now it just seems like in a desperate attempt for money grabbing, and the fact that nostalgic games are big, they're trying to fucking Pet Cemetery some of the biggest games and then be like, oh, this will bring people in.
The thing is that game was not a big game. It was a critically acclaimed game, but it didn't do well at all, and that's what's been holding the game back.
Yeah. Well,
nobody bought it the first time.
I meant that there was a large outcry for it, I suppose, more than like it sold gangbusters. Like this is what if you look at there's always a list of like 5 to 10 games that almost the entire gaming community wants to see remade. And granted, this is one of them, but I man, the timing and the placement and the people backing it just make it feel like this is more exploitative than anything else. And those usually lead to half-baked games. But we don't really have a roadmap for where we are yet. Like rebooting 10-year-old games is just kind of becoming a thing. My reaction would be like, how are you going to remake or make Beyond Good and Evil 2? Because it was very little kiddie, and now all these years later, do you expect all these grown-ass adults to play it, or do you expect them to introduce a sequel to their kids that they've never played the first iteration of? Like, I can't really figure where they're aiming at on this one.
Was that a kiddie game, Manny? Didn't you play it? Manny.
Sorry. Nah, it was actually it was just a kind of a platform. It wasn't like on the level of a Ratchet and Clank. I mean, it didn't seem very kiddie to me.
It wasn't super kiddie. Like it was definitely mature, but it was done in a very like almost kind of Disney friendly style.
Oh, you mean the art style, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember the thing the critics said was like this game is dealing with a lot of really deep subject matter and stuff, But
it did, but it was all thinly veiled.
Yeah.
Which is great, which is what was kind of the masterpiece about it. Like at a cursory glance, you could an 8-year-old could watch the game, the whole game, and they wouldn't understand, and they'd be like, "Oh, well, here's the basic story." But a grown-up plays, and they're like, "Holy shit, this is dark." This is like the Rats of Nim, same kind of thing. Like, oh, it's a story about some field mice who want to make a kingdom, and like, no, you watch it again as an adult, and you're like, "Oh my god, this movie is about like animal abuse and freedom and the loss of hope and." Jesus Christ, this is way deeper and darker than I had originally thought it as, and that takes a lot of skill to do. But
and then you watch Plague Dogs.
Yes.
Or The Watership Down.
All right, moving on here. Okay, Killax. Last 3 questions. The first one is, do you think a beat-em-up Street Fighter game would be fun? Yeah, it's called Final Fight. I'm going to tell you guys a little story for you guys to know. Final Fight was originally going to be the second Street Fighter game. They were going to call it Street Fighter 89, but since the mechanics were so different, they were like, okay, we got to call it something else. This is not a Street Fighter game. But a lot of that Street Fighter DNA is still in that game. Look at Mike Hager. The dude is Zangief. He has the same moves and stuff. A lot of the programmers on Final Fight worked on Street Fighter 2.
And Street Fighter 2 was actually supposed to be connected more to Final Fight. That's why, if you remember Street Fighter 2, that has that thing where it looks like the guy who looks like Cody punching the other dude in the face.
Yeah.
That's a leftover from when that was going to be Final Fight 2.
Yeah, exactly. Or Final Fight, No,
yeah. Final Fight. Okay. Final Fight 1 was supposed to be a sequel to the original Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Then when Final Fight did really well, they wanted to go and make a new Final Fight game, but then that became Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, okay, I got you. Yeah, but so yeah, we already have the Street Fighter, beat 'em up. It's called Final Fight, So yes, it would be very damn fun. But imagine like a beat 'em up with the actual Street Fighter characters, right? Like Ryu and Ken and Chun-Li and stuff. Like set it.
Beat 'em up.
What do you mean beat 'em? Final Fight, Streets of Rage, Turtles in Time, that
Side-scrollers.
Side-scrolling beat-em-up games.
Okay.
Okay. So so Street Fighter, I didn't think that needed clarifying. Beat-em-up, it's a beat-em-up game.
Beat-em-up game could be any game where you just physically abuse.
No, literally a genre.
Yeah, it's a genre, dude. It's like shoot-em-ups are a genre.
Yes.
It's like, what do you mean shoot 'em up? Call of Duty? No. There's a genre called shoot 'em ups. So yes, I think it would be cool. Like if you get the Street Fighter characters and stuff in there, like actual Street Fighter characters, I'm down with that for sure. But yeah, we already have it. Final Fight.
As long as you keep it in 2 dimensions, you'd be golden.
Exactly.
Please never make Street Fighter a 3-dimensional thing.
They did. It was Street Fighter EX, and it was terrible. Terrible. As a matter of fact, I would go so far to say the beat 'em up genre doesn't work well in 3D.
Here's the thing, though. Street Fighter EX is essentially a better version, is an old version of the current Street Fighter.
Yeah, but
it's still a 2D fighter. It's just not that good.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, 3D. The thing is, I mean,
Like play Rival Schools. That's a 2D fighter. That was awesome.
Yeah.
A 2D 3D fighter.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of a side thing, but yeah, 3D beat 'em up games don't really work that well. Like the genre has not been able to make that leap successfully.
It could work though. Shenmue came pretty close.
Kind of, but Shenmue was not a beat 'em up game. It just had fighting mechanics in it.
Well, it had an element of beat 'em up in a 3D open rendered world. Like you could take that same premise and build it up. Like you'd have to have a reason for there to be a 3D world. So you'd have to like fight city or some shit like that. You know what? That would make a cool anime.
Yeah, I mean, there was Anarchy Reigns, which Riku loved, which is essentially a 3D beat 'em up. And there have been other 3D beat 'em ups in the past, but me personally, I've never liked them. I feel that genre is always best in the 2D plane, with your buddies and stuff getting fucked up. It's fun,
Yeah, well, you could say the same thing about Castlevania, and then Bloodborne came out.
You could say God of War is kind of a beat 'em up.
It kind of is. But no, it's got swords in it, so it'd be a hack and slash.
It's a hack and slash, exactly. That's what makes it different, But it's not a hack and slash. It's really an action-adventure game, but that's a whole other topic.
Every game's an action-adventure game.
Not really. Some are dedicated games.
No, that literally means somebody goes somewhere and does something. That's all that you have to. Those are the
but traditionally, action-adventure game means you have platforming, you have combat, you have puzzles, right? And a story to tie them all together. That's a traditional action-adventure game, But I know what you're getting at because
that hasn't been action. That has not. But there have not been puzzles. There has been half of that in a lot of quote-unquote action-adventure games.
I'm talking about traditional ones, dude. Old school ones. Now they're kind of phasing out the puzzle shit because people just want to beat people up or shoot people. They kind of even with Assassin's Creed they phase it out. Remember Assassin's Creed had puzzles before. They used to have Prince of Persia, classic man, puzzles, combat, story. Now they're phasing out all the puzzle stuff because people don't want to stop fighting. It's stupid. All right. Actually, we got two more. This question I didn't really understand. I'm going to read what he originally wrote, and I'm going to tell you what I interpreted it as. He goes, "What games will you like to see, and they don't have to fighting games?" I don't understand that.
That was what he originally wrote?
Yes.
Well, what games would you like to see, and they don't have to be fighting games?
Yeah. So I interpreted it to be, what type of games would you like to see more of? What other genres would you like to see more of? That's what I interpreted it as.
I think it means maybe, or it could mean like what hasn't been made a video game that you would like to see. And he might have said it doesn't have to be fighting games because his previous question was about a fighting game.
Yeah.
So if you read like, do you think a beat 'em up Street Fighter game would be fun? What games would you like to see? That makes it sound like you're looking for a game to be a beat 'em up Street Fighter game. So I think what he's asking, and I may be overthinking this, but I think what he's asking is just what games would you like to see be made in, or what games would you like to see be made? And this has no bearing on the previous question.
Okay. But that's a pretty broad question. Like, what games would you like to see be made? It's like,
like what would you like to see be made into a game? I would love to see the Wheel of Time series be made into a game. Like that would be baller.
But would you want it to play like Baldur's Gate, or would you want it to play like Dark Souls?
I would probably actually want it to play more like Dark Souls, I guess. Maybe even kind of like Shadows of Mordor. The beautiful thing about that book is the three main protagonists are all wildly different. One's like very political and ends up being schooled in magic. One is kind of a rogue character who refuses to die, and one turns into this giant barbarian blacksmith. So I think that you could almost do the GTA thing where you follow each different character and they all have it. One character is a roguelike game, one character is a hack and slash type game, and the other character is puzzles and magic and making decisions like do from the Keep of Inquisition.
I mean, aren't there like 1,000 books in the Wheel of Time? So that would like clog up your Souls gameplay with cinematics. Like I think a Baldur's Gate interface would tell that story a lot better.
It's possible. I feel like the Baldur's Gate interface is a little bit dated at this point. I think maybe even
devil you say Pillars of Eternity is awesome.
Pillars of Eternity is awesome, but I'm thinking I might like to see it in like a Dragon's Age or Mass Effect style game.
Ooh, Mass Effect.
Because Mass Effect, you have a lot of delegation. You build up a team. Like that's kind of the theme of the stories is there's constant building up, constant building up. So in the first book, it's about 3 farm boys, and 8 books later, it's about a general who's controlling multiple nations, somebody who's gone down in legend and in lore. Like it could be a nice kind of growth thing, I think.
Yeah, I'll spin off of that to Paramount and CBS. In order to not make Gene Roddenberry spin in his grave with your next game, look at Mass Effect and make a Star Trek game like that. The groundwork has been laid out for you. Just do it.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of took my answer. It's like, I have the game I've always wanted. It's called Mass Effect. They gave me Star Trek. That's what I've always wanted. So thank you, BioWare, for doing, what Paramount couldn't. Apparently, and I'm happy with that. Like Mass Effect, that's like perfect. Yeah, I can't really answer like, hey, I need this, and I haven't seen it yet. I've pretty much played everything I kind of wanted in games. Like Mass Effect was probably the last piece of that puzzle of what I really wanted to see in a video game. Like Shenmue filled a little bit up, Metal Gear certainly filled it. Then Mass Effect filled it. It's like, okay, I got everything I ever wanted in a video game. Yeah. This is great.
I can only say things I miss, like.
Yeah,
like another Burnout game, like.
Yeah.
What about TV shows or movies or books or comic books that you'd like to see?
Oh, I mean, like a really good, awesome, kick-ass Daredevil game? That would be fucking awesome,
Yeah. That could be sweet. You put time dilation in it, so that like as you're doing crazy, Assassin's Creed flip off the wall type acrobatics, you can slow time down.
Yeah, and then like devil vision or whatever they're gonna call it in that,
You can do that.
Daredevil would be great,
He'd essentially be the assassin from Assassin's Creed, right?
Yes, basically.
He'd be Eagle Vision.
I got it. They need to make a Daredevil game and make it for the Oculus headset and have surround sound, but keep the display off for the entire game. Except for cutscenes. You'll see stuff during cutscenes.
Yes, of course. And, we already got an awesome Batman game. We've wanted that for years. We finally got him. Perfect. See, Batman is how you need to be doing games based on characters. Don't go like, hey, here's a character, let's plop him into this genre. It's like, hey, what makes this character work? Let's make a game built around those mechanics and stuff, And Daredevil could probably work because he's not like overpowered or anything,
I'd like to see a Cowboy Bebop style game, not even with the main characters, just set in the universe. You could have different bounties as episodic missions.
You mean like a certain Conan game that is based in the universe of Conan but doesn't have Conan in it?
Manny's pet peeve.
Kind of like that, but I like how like you have the Normandy, right? Like you could have a home base that you come to there.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet, Manny, what about you?
I mean, I'd like to see some more point-and-click adventures. I love those games. So.
Cool answer.
I miss them. I played The Broken Age, which was, was good. Not the greatest, but was good. But I'd like to see some more people travel down that road. Not every game needs to be about blowing the shit up out of everybody.
Did you try King's Quest? They brought that back.
King's Quest? I was a little disappointed with that one, but yeah.
Man, I remember going in junior high. I was playing that on the computer on the Tandies in the school. I used to play King's Quest, man.
The new one is not really like that, which is disappointing.
Yeah, it's not the old King's Quest. I got super excited, started foaming at the mouth, and then got disappointed.
Yeah.
Nice. Chris, you already went, right?
Yeah, I said give me Star Trek, man. Look at Mass Effect. I already got good Star, but I want it to be Star Trek, man. Stop disappointing me. Fucking shitty games. God, the last try was for the first fucking Abrams movie. That's it. That's all we got. And then mobile games. Come on, guys.
Yeah, come on, man. Give us the real shit. Brian, what about you? What would you like to see in games?
I'd like to see puzzle games make a return, because like games now they're kind of a bit dull. It's like okay, like shooting stuff is fun, but you run into the same problem of Just Cause 3. It's like, yeah, it's fun, but after a while you just get really tired of it. Like you need something like to balance out the pure like blowing stuff up. Like blowing stuff up is fun.
What about Talos Principle and stuff like that, or The Witness?
I haven't played The Witness yet, but I've heard that the puzzles just really aren't that great.
The game's not that good. Talos Principle, on the other hand, highly recommend that game.
Yes, I played the demo and I really liked it, and I look forward to purchasing it sometime. But like, just puzzle games are fun, you know, like they're challenging. Like you get that, ooh, yes, I solved this puzzle that type feeling. Whereas now with games, or like with like most AAA games, it's just kind of like there's no sense of achievement. It's just, oh, I got to the end and that's it.
Dude,
You know,
that's
like what with I okay, with pretty much every game I played last year, I just got to the feeling like, oh, I got to the end, but I didn't really feel like I achieved anything. You know, it
you
just
play a
felt
Souls
like I
game.
just went through the runs. But even with that, it's kind of like I got to the end, but I didn't learn anything per se, or I didn't like. There's no sense of achievement there.
You didn't feel like you accomplished really anything.
No,
You didn't feel like you needed to work for it. A lot of games, you're just kind of
like
looking
given
for
the ending. You
yeah,
know,
yeah. If you're willing to play it, you will get the ending.
yeah.
Brian, I'd like to cordially invite you to play Dark Souls 3 with Chris and I.
Oh, yes.
You want satisfaction. That'll give you some satisfaction.
Brian needs
Also-
to beat Brian needs to beat Rom first.
But even that, it's like the problem that I have with Souls games is that they don't really satisfy me. It just pretty much gets to the point where, like, okay, this boss is kicking my ass. Okay, let's find a way to beat it, and then it's usually, oh, I found this ultra cheese way to beat it, and that's it. You know, that's just not that. Like, it's not satisfying enough. Like, I want something to be like on my. Okay, I want a game that when I start playing it, it's still in the back of my mind, like still making me think. Like, even as I'm eating breakfast, as I'm going to work, as I'm working, as I'm coming back from work, it's constantly there, just in my mind, just chugging away. It's like, why didn't I do this? Like, why couldn't I do that? You know, the Souls games do that to a degree, but after a certain point, it's just like, okay, I'll cheese it and see what happens. But yeah, with stuff like Anti-Chamber, like you really cannot cheese that game. It's like it's literally you need to like do the puzzle right. And once you find out how you solve the puzzle, it's like, okay, let's move on now. Okay, I understand this. Same thing with Talos Principle. Like that had like a similar thing.
Now,
Portal, not so much.
I'm curious whether, and I'm fishing for information here because I'm curious whether or not it is the logic and the puzzle of it, like set
I think
aside as a
so.
separate activity. Like, do you generally do you like roguelike games? Like, there are games where you have to use critical thinking the same way, but it's more kind of sewed into the gameplay itself. Like, I forget there was a spaceship game that was a roguelike that everybody was all over.
FTL, I'm assuming.
Yes, FTL. And that seems like it poses you with difficult problems. Is that something that you generally find yourself interested in?
Not really. Like that's more like I'm not a big fan of management. Like I don't like to manage stuff. To be fair.
Okay.
That's why I often avoid Sims in general because that's just kind of no, just go away. Can't bother to manage you, and that's why I don't do MOBAs because I literally have to manage like my guy. It's like I don't want to manage my guy. I want to be the guy. You know, like I want to go left, I press left. I want to go right, I press right. You know.
Oh yeah, no, I hate that fucking disconnect when they don't do that. Let me ask you, do you ever play games with permadeath?
No, not really.
That's how I got myself out of the funk, is I started playing games with permadeath, and that's nice because usually the creep to actually get strong is usually only a couple hours, but then there's the whole like, oh shit, I have a bunch of stuff. If I die, I'm gonna stay dead. It kind of recalls those days where you were playing Mario and you're like, I only have 2 lives left to beat the 8th world, and then if you don't, sorry, you didn't get to save and start again at the beginning of the 8th world. You got to start from the beginning again, and that puts some pressure and some meaning behind it. And then when you did,
I think he's looking for more straight up puzzle games and not like games that just kind of have these, like, oh hey, look, there's a a tree that fell over in the woods. How can I get over it? Not like that sort of things. I'm thinking like pure on puzzle games. Like you walk into a room, this is the fucking puzzle room.
Okay, so actual puzzle games, not games that require critical thinking. I heard him say not Portal, and that made me think it wasn't actually the puzzle games, but I guess that's more of a critical thinking style of puzzle then, if you really think about it. So yeah, Brian wants to like spin the knobs until all the jewels match and make a secret symbol before the doors open.
Yeah, I want like to enter a room and then see nothing, and then have some voice say, "Okay, now exit the room," and then I'll be there like, "But how?" And the game says, "We'll figure it out." Yeah. I want that sort of
Right.
like left my own devices, solve this issue. It's like,
I
okay,
feel
cool.
like we've been through a whole genre of games like that in the early '90s, like Seventh
I just
Guest and all of that shit. Where
DE.
every single room you walk into is a puzzle. It's like, gee, I'm in the kitchen. Like, how do I get out of here?
Hey,
It's like, does this guy normally walk through his house like this?
hey, can you guys help me remember the name of a game that Chris just made me think of? It's a game where you went into this giant mansion as an adventurer and like kind of a Dark Souls style adventure, and then got murdered. And was this specter that would be able to set up like trap and puzzle rooms and release like monsters and demons in. And then adventurers would come to the house and they'd try and get to the treasure room, and your job would be to build and execute traps to murder them before they could. Did anybody play this game?
Doesn't that sound like that's Night Trap, isn't it?
No, Night Trap was terrible.
Yeah, but it sounds like you're describing Night Trap.
No, this game you actually like got to build dungeons and like put secret like spike walls and things, and then you just kind of like hover behind
Yeah,
people.
I think I know which one that one is. I can't remember the name of it though. It was a Genesis game.
It's not Dungeon Keeper.
No.
It was in a spooky house though.
Yeah.
that sounds like that PlayStation game that's like ultra Japanese.
It was a PlayStation game in Ultra Japanese.
It's like Deception or D something.
I think
No.
it's maybe it is Deception or Trapped.
Yeah, I got nothing. I have no idea.
The one I'm thinking of is called D something. I'm pretty sure that someone will put it in the comment section. It's like they recently had like the fourth version come out like not so long ago.
Wait, they're still making new ones?
Okay, I don't know if that's the same one, but it's
Are
essentially
you talking about the vampire game, D?
No.
no. It's okay. I see like a friend of mine played, and it's just so odd. It was literally like you have to like trap these guys that invade your mansion, and like you play as a bad guy, and then like you have to like kill the good guys, and then you set up traps and all sorts, and it's just ultra weird. It's like what? Like this game makes no sense, but it's really funny though. It's like one time this guy put a pumpkin on someone's head, and then like they walked into like a rake, and then this massive pole just came from the sky and hit them like into like a pile of spikes on the wall. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. You have
makes
to
no
build
sense.
traps and like chain them together. Like you can have like a fake
Yeah.
wall of spikes, and then like I had this one where like guy comes like goes up to the top of the stairs and is supposed to go down left into the stairs, and then he clicks a trap which sends a log which flings him into the room. He lands on spikes, and then this giant amount of boiling oil pours down from the ceiling and murders them. By the way, it was called Tecmo's Deception.
Oh, is that the name of it?
Yes.
Interesting. Never
Yeah,
heard of
put
it.
a link in the.
Oh yes, that does look. Yeah, the artwork looks familiar. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that was
Oh.
just really odd.
It was so fun. I recommend you, if you could find it on PC, try it out, Brian. That may scratch some of that itch. And now I just want to play it again.
Okay.
PlayStation exclusive. That's fine. Yeah, that also described another game called Mighty Quest for Epic Loot, which sounds very similar to that. Like you build a castle, you set traps, and people go through your castle and like try and pillage your gold.
Oh, I wish that game was multiplayer so bad.
I thought it was.
No, well, other people build the dungeons, and you can go into other people's dungeons, I believe, but you can't like interact with friends.
Okay.
All right. And the last question here. This is the way he asked it. Can you see a virtual cop game happening on VR or Resident Evil? So I'm gonna expand it to what gaming franchises do you think could work well in VR?
Why do all roads always end up with PT? Like every single time it's VR, so
it's
it's
PT.
Damn it.
That would be the ultimate VR game. That's why, man.
I'm trying to think. Okay, well, there's the obvious, like Indian old games in first person, and like,
Yeah, exactly.
they
Yeah.
work well.
But would Virtual Cop work? Isn't that Like a
Virtua Cop
light
was
gun shooter?
yes, it's an on rails game. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Time Crisis or Virtua Cop would work well because don't you need some other sensor to if you're gonna hold a weapon? I mean, playing Virtua Cop with a controller is kind of lame as it is. You could, but
Yeah, you need a gun or something. You're just
yeah,
on rails. Yeah.
Well, like on
There is that one game that Sony's creating that uses the move controllers as a gun. So there you
yeah,
go.
but you need to use something else, right? That's my point. Like besides a controller, you need something with a sensor to act as a gun.
Yeah, you just gotta go like this. Put your hand like a gun. Pew pew pew.
I don't know, like light gun games. Like I haven't seen them in like a long time. Do people still care about them, or?
Yeah, the last one I played, and when I say play, I mean that loosely because it was like 10 minutes. It was a Dead Space light gun game, right? Terrible. And this funny thing is, I used to love light gun games. Virtua Cop, I played Virtua Cop like 100 times, right? Then I played this, I'm like, I think I outgrew this genre. Like, it was a very painful realization, but yeah, nope, I don't have any use for light gun games at all.
Yeah, I don't know. They're fun in the arcade. I played Time Crisis 3 not too long ago, but yeah, it's not something where I'm like, yeah, bring that back. I'm like, eh.
Well, there was that sniper game that was pretty awesome.
What, Silent Scope?
Silent Scope was one of those light gun games that was kind of pretty cool.
Yeah, Silent Scope. But I don't know. Again, I'm not really a big VR advocate, so I really don't care about like, oh, I want to see this genre in VR. You know, doesn't apply to me.
It seems like a weird like. The reason those games were made that way was the limit of the technology at the time that they were made. So if you make a game like that now outside of that limit of technology, it seems kind of arbitrarily stunted. So you see what I'm saying? Like
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
There's no reason for it to be that way, but if they make it not that way, it's not really the same game anymore. If they made a Virtual Cop that wasn't on rails, would it feel like Virtual Cop?
Yeah, it would be something else completely because that's the whole point of Virtua Cop. It's an on rails arcadey game.
I'm saying that still is on rails. You're just able to move your head.
Yeah,
that's true.
It just doesn't sound particularly enticing as an experience. Like it sounds like a very small upgrade from something I played in the 90s.
Actually, that sounds like what I feel about third-person games in VR. It's like, what's the point of that? You know? Like,
you sweet summer child.
I don't know. All right, anything else to add to this?
Be nice to see like cool horror games in VR, and I mean actual horror games, not jump scare games. Like those games are just bullshit.
Mm.
So like actual tense stuff. So I don't know. Yeah, that's all I have.
All right. Okay, so let's start wrapping this up. So we're losing a lot of energy tonight. Okay, so yeah, Throwdown and Throwdown Your Questions will have episode 75 each this week. I don't really know what we're going to be doing. All I know is we're going to have some guests. We're going to have some giveaways. So make sure to stay tuned for both shows. We'll give you shit. We'll have cool people on. Simple as that.
Yes.
All right, so thank you for watching and or listening. Leave us your questions in the comment section on the Coalition or on YouTube so we can answer them on next week's show. Be sure to follow the Coalition at thecoalition.com. Also help support the site by donating to the Patreon page. Subscribe to Throwdown, SoundCloud, iTunes, and the YouTube. So don't forget to follow us on Facebook and on Twitter at Throwdown Show. Links are available in the description below. Once again, our service Tony Polanco, joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you later, guys.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Brian Manjoma.
Man, this deception game is so weird.
And Brett Murdoch.
Once you go in, you always come out alive.
Sometimes. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Later.
There are people.
See you guys.